So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 7th, 2022 meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd like to ask Pastor Kendall if he could come forward to give us our invocation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we are grateful to begin this meeting by coming before you and acknowledging your sovereignty over all things. And God, as the county commissioners go about the county business, recognizing different individuals, different groups, Lord, adjusting budgets, receiving proposals, all those different things, God, we just pray that your hand would be upon it. We pray that you would bless the work that is done in this room. God, we confess that we are sinful people in need of the saving grace of Jesus Christ, and it's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, Pastor Kendall is from the Friendship Community Baptist Church in Dunkirk. We appreciate you coming down and joining us today. So, the next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve and adopt an amended agenda moving consent item 3 regarding the award of Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Clubhouse construction to new business.
Is there a second? I have a motion and a second that we approve the amended agenda that moves item 3 from consent to new business. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So next is public service announcements. Just recently, there was another school shooting in Texas, so we would like to take a moment of silence for all the families and victims of that incident. Thank you. Also, June begins Hurricane Month. We want to make sure our citizens, especially living on the coastlines, are aware, and we do have an alert system in the county that if you are not participating in that program, please sign up. It sends you out an alert to let you know when things are going on and so that you can be prepared. We also, yesterday was the anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 1944, one of the greatest military movements in the history. And, as I get older and look back, most of those young men and women that participated in that were only 18 or 19 years old. And, when I was younger, it didn't seem that young, but as I mature, those were young kids that gave their life at such an early age for us so that we live in this free country that we live in today. So just hope everybody took a little moment yesterday to remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice of their life for the protection of our livelihoods and our safety in this country. So we should never forget what happened that day on that beach and what they saw and did. So I hope everybody just took a little moment yesterday and remembered that. So and that's all I have under public service announcements. Next item on the agenda is proclamations, and the first one, the first one is for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Commissioner Gatway.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Is there anyone here for I shouldn't say is there. For the people that are here for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, could you please come up to the microphone, say who you are, and then come up here, please.
I'm Dr. Sudha Haley from India. Namaste. And I'm on the Commission on Aging and, of course, many other things with AARP Executive Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Julia David from St. Mary's County.
Welcome. Come on up.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joy Gates from Southern Maryland. Thank you.
Oh, no. Yeah, you could block us. We're not.
Just, yes.
Come on. Don't worry about us. We are not important.
I'm Dr. Ruby Alonso Judge. I am a retired OBGYN who served this county for 30 years, and some of them are my patients here. I'm so glad to see them.
Dr. Alonso, my wife loves you. Yes, she does. Yes.
I'm Charles Judge, and I'm Ruby's husband.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tanya Williams from Calvert Library.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Mary Winston. I'm from the Filipino American Association of Calvert, and I'm the president.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tammy Lee and the Korean American Cultural Art Foundation president. Good to see you, everybody. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Suwat Silpasuwan. I work at Calvert Memorial for 40 years. I'm from Thailand.
Welcome.
I'd like to introduce these three special people arrived last week, come from Korea. We have a show in the Maryland and the world of Charles County. So they are artists for the painting. So they have an exhibition for the last week and also 11 this month, a festival for the Charles County. So they arrived last week. So which is Seokyoung Lee and is the Mr. Lee and is the Dr. Joe.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Maddie Rivera. I've been a registered nurse working for my husband, who was a retired urologist in the county for almost 40 years. And here he is.
I'm Modesto Rivera, retired urologist, the first one in the county. Came here in 1978, and I've been here in practice and retired in 2014. And I continue to be here, and I've enjoyed my stay in Calvert County.
Welcome. We got a great crowd today. Lots of good things happening. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to read this proclamation. Whereas Congress officially designated the month of May as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month in 1992. And whereas Congress chose the month of May for this recognition to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States on May 7th, 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad's completion on May 10th, 1869, because the majority of the railroad workers were Chinese immigrants. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County desires to bring attention to this important celebration by inviting our community to learn about and appreciate Asian Pacific American culture. And whereas AARP, the Calvert County Department of Economic Development, Calvert Library, Calvert Parks and Recreation, the Phil Am Association of Southern Maryland, and other partners have planned a festival to celebrate Asian Pacific American culture through dance, music, games, and food at Hallowan Point Park on Saturday, July 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County that we recognize the importance of Asian Pacific American heritage in Calvert County. Be it further proclaimed that by this action, we encourage all citizens to recognize the extraordinary contributions and vibrant culture and languages of Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Given under our hands and sealed the 7th day of June, 2022. Signed by 4 of the commissioners. Thank you. Would anyone like to say anything?
We truly appreciate your, is this on right now? Okay. Truly appreciate your working with us and bringing us all together. This is the very first time we are doing this, and it is going to be a smashing success on the 23rd of July. We want all of you to come and watch us sing and dance in our own cultural costumes and our dances. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, we're fine. This is what we do. Don't worry, we all good. We'll see us.
A couple on this
decide to join in the back, would you guys do that? Yeah. Let's take.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
In the back. We'll head it back, and then we'll bring the front row in. Yep. And then let's shift this front row over slightly. It may not block the live stream here. No.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good idea.
Okay. Let's get this front row over slightly. Let's kind of scooch down a little bit more.
Scooch, yeah.
Let's scooch this way a little bit. There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Everybody look for the lens. Here we go. 1, 2. One more. 1, 2. Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I digress.
So we do want to thank all of you for taking the time to come out today to join us, and we appreciate, your culture and what you bring to this country, and some of us really enjoy the food that you brought with you. So we're very happy to have you in Calvert County and the contributions that you make. And we wanted to take this opportunity to recognize that. So thank you all very much. And July 23rd at Holling Point Park. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next proclamation on the agenda is for the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Commissioner Weems.
Miss Margaret, would you please come forward? And Miss Joan, and any other representatives, office on, yes, commission? Hi, Miss Joan. Miss Margaret. Whereas Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 is the federal law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in schools and colleges receiving federal financial assistance. Calvert County has 2 major educational institutions covered by Title IX: Calvert County Public Schools and the College of Southern Maryland. Whereas Title IX was signed into law 50 years ago this month by President Nixon on June 23, 1972. And whereas Title IX has opened up educational opportunities for women and girls, including admission to undergraduate, graduate, and professional schools, equal opportunities in school sports, and protection from sexual harassment and violence. And whereas a major purpose of the Calvert County Commission for Women is to promote equal educational opportunities for women and girls. And whereas Margaret Dunkel, former chair of the Calvert County Commission for Women, was inducted into the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame in 2012 for her leadership on Title IX in the 1970s. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County that June 2022 be known as Celebrate 50 Years of Title IX Month in Calvert County. Be it further proclaimed that all citizens are urged to learn about Title IX's requirements and history to support equal educational opportunities for Calvert County women and girls. Given under our hands and sealed this 7th day of June, 2022. Ladies.
just like to thank you on behalf of the Commission for Women for this acknowledgement of Title IX. I'm Joan Winship. I'm chair of the Commission for Women, and we continue to follow and encourage that Title IX be implemented. This was a key legislation that has led to so many different things in the last 50 years. It is initially, many people thought about it just in sports. And if you follow sports today, you know that even in the last couple of weeks, we're still seeing accomplishments of women in sports and finally reaching some equality in sports, in soccer, for instance, and in golf this past week. But that was one of the things. Beyond sports, however, Title IX made a huge difference in the education of women and girls, and thus in society as a whole. Today, it is because of Title IX that so many women are in different professions. There are more women in law schools today than men. There are more women graduating from undergraduate schools than men. There are, as we have seen even among the Asian Pacific community, there are many women doctors and more in medical school and more down here all the time. Dental schools, schools of theology, all kinds of professions, including now the trades. And so Title IX has made a big difference. The Commission for Women continues to be in touch with the schools. In March, we had James Kurtz, who is charged with following Title IX in our public schools. He's Director of Student Services. He attended our meeting and caught us up on what was going on with Title IX in the public schools. And they're concerned continually about harassment and bullying and how that fits in with Title IX. And so Title IX is key. And we are lucky in the county to have someone who was instrumental, known as a godmother of Title IX, who worked on Title IX in the 1970s, Margaret Dunkel. Margaret is a former chair of the Commission for Women and was instrumental in making sure that the legislation that was passed would get implemented, and we continue to try to make that happen today. Margaret.
Thank you so much, Joan. It's an honor to be a member now of the Calvert County Commission for Women, which works for educational and employment and rights for women and girls and their equal opportunities in society. A lot of progress has been made since the 1972 when Title IX was passed, and there's still progress to be made. For any of you who has a wife or a daughter or a mother, and I expect this is everybody in the room, there's a special appreciation for Title IX and the opportunities that it has opened for all of us and for all of them, and will continue to in the future. And we appreciate the support of the county commissioners for Title IX and equal educational opportunities for women and girls. It makes a huge difference to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Jennifer, you didn't want to follow that? Jennifer didn't want to say anything for the first time.
If you'd like me to, I would just comment on the fact that we have such wonderful advocates for Title IX amongst the Calvert Commission for Women, and we're very fortunate. They bring so much expertise to this. So that's all I'd like to say.
All right. Thank you, Director Moreland. Thank you. The next item under proclamations is Commissioner Hart, and it's a recognition that Director Nizal might want to come up and say something.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Director Nizal, would you like to come up first?
You've never been shy before.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not asking for money right now.
Right now?
She will be. The next hour.
That's in the next one. But this isn't about me. This is about my daughter, Natalia. So I will let Commissioner Hart go ahead and say something and go through the proclamation, and she'll walk up there, and then maybe I'll say something afterwards.
Natalia, would you like to speak first? Or? How are you doing, young lady?
You didn't take up to
Let me
your
tell you
mother.
guys about this one here. She is a working machine. I don't know when she ever sleeps. She school athletics. She is an incredible young lady. You know anything about gymnastics, the season is never over. If they're not competing, they're training, they're watching their video, they're constantly, and as a parent, it would scare me to death because you do dangerous stuff up on there, at least, my boy gets hit in the head with a baseball, he'll be all right, that would scare me to death. This is a very remarkable young lady, and it's not just in the backyard, the travel, the everything, and I'm going to want all you guys up here in a second because you can't do this without your family. It's impossible. I mean, the meets are all over the country. It is serious competition, and the pressure. What we do is nothing. I couldn't. Number one, I could barely walk normally, but do all that crazy stuff.
You can barely walk.
Bounce on a little tiny thing like that and all that, and I'm telling you, they're just supreme athletes. If you ever follow it, it's an incredible sport. So, with all that, it says, whereas the youth of Calvert County represent our most treasured resource, and whereas the personal achievements, accomplishments, and service of these young citizens deserve the recognition and praise of their elders, and whereas, you stop me if I get this wrong, everybody knows I'm the worst. Natalia, is that right? All right. Aaron Nazal, resident of Port Republic, attends Capital Gymnast National Training Center in Burke, Virginia. See what I mean? It's never close. And she is a 7th grader at Calvert Middle School. Whereas Natalia participated in the 2022 Virginia State Level 9 Gymnastics Championship, receiving first place on the balance beam with a 9.175. Who was that guy that didn't know what he was looking at? Should have been perfect 10, shouldn't he? That's right. I'm going to have to go talk to him. Naming her the 2022 Virginia State Champion. Natalia was then invited to participate in the 2022 Region 7 Level 9 Gymnastics Championship in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, receiving second place on the balance beam with a 9.40 among the states of Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, West Virginia, Delaware, and Virginia. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners presents this proclamation as a tribute to Natalia's diligent work, determination, her outstanding, commendable accomplishments. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Calvert County that Natalia Aaron Nazal is congratulated on being the 2022 Virginia State Champion on the balance beam by achieving first place in the 2022 Virginia State Level 9 Gymnastics Championships and second place on the balance beam at the 2022 Region 7 Level 9 Gymnastics Championship. Be it further proclaimed that by this action we have faith in the ability of today's youth as they assume their roles in society, given under our hands this seal, 7th day of June 2020. Can we get Mom, Dad, Zane? There's my buddy. There you go.
Scooch in. Yeah, bounce it out. No worries. Balance it out.
You can't have all the eye candy on one side, Steve. You gotta spread it around.
Balance it out. Okay, ready? Let's take a photo. Here we go. 1, 2. One more. 1, 2. Awesome. Good job.
Hey, great seeing you. Great seeing you. Great seeing you, my buddy. You still playing baseball? Still doing baseball? Awesome. So I'm gonna see you up here one day. Yeah. Great job, kiddo. All right. See you guys. Oh, hold on. God, I keep talking so much. You know that. There you go. Yeah.
So you hear us talk about it very often about the amount of talented young athletes we have in Calvert County. We're just recently the Calvert girls softball team won a state championship. The boys track team at Northern High School won a state championship. We have them in here all the time being recognized for winning state championships in little old Calvert County. So we have a great athletic program here in Calvert County and some wonderful student athletes. So we'd like to take every opportunity we can to recognize those youth and the great jobs that they do. So the next item on the agenda is an appointment. Deputy Director Salem.
Good morning, Commissioners. You have one appointment this morning to the Heritage Committee. The staff is requesting that the board reappoint Ms. Alicia Abresh as a voting member and Ms. Pat Melville as a non-voting advisory member. Following those appointments, you'll have 2 vacancies remaining.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we reappoint Alicia Abresh and Pat Melville. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is, and we're not there yet. Do we have time to do an award? So the first item under awards is Employee of the Month. Lisa? Oh, not Lisa. Ah.
Good morning, Commissioners, ladies.
Good morning.
Gentlemen. My name's Tori Boschert. I'm the Acting Recreation Coordinator for Calvert County Parks and Recreation, here today as a member of the Employee Recognition Committee. I am here today, this 7th day of June, 2 days before my birthday, to introduce the May 2022 Employee of the Month.
Finally going to turn 21, so you can.
Yes, yes. The Employee of the Month Award acknowledges individual excellence for superior job performance or special individual efforts in the following areas: effectiveness of public contact, respect of fellow employees, quality and/or quantity of work, contributions toward improving organizational morale, and actions that improve the county's public image. Anyone can nominate a coworker for this award. Please check out the ERC webpage on the county intranet, which is new, for more information. And without further ado, and Commissioners, also when Shannon does ask for more money later, just remember the Employee of the Month is a Parks and Recreation employee. Our 2022 for the month of May Employee of the Month is Building Coordinator and Therapeutic Recreation Aide, Laura Karen Gibbons, and she is a member of the Recreation Division. Karen, please join the Commissioners up front. Karen Gibbons personifies what it means to be a team player. She currently holds 2 positions with Ccpr, Building Coordinator and Therapeutic Recreation Aide, and she exceeds expectations on both fronts. As a building coordinator, Karen has been integral to the success of the Central District over the last 2 years, especially as there has been several staff changes, and her knowledge of how things were prior to the pandemic has helped the new staff integrate more easily to the nuances of this district as restrictions have been lifted. The CCPR main office was relocated to the Harriet Brown Community Center, and some of the duties performed through the main office were transitioned to the center by default. Karen seamlessly took on the newly added duties and kept the rest of the hourly and part-time staff abreast of any and all changes as they happened. One very admirable quality is, on the off chance that Karen does not know the answer to something, she doesn't pass it up the chain for someone else to deal with. She is resourceful and does what she can to find out so she can better assist customers and staff alike, even if it is something completely unrelated to Parks and Recreation or even Calvert County government. The customer service she provides to the community and department is unparalleled. We, somewhat jokingly, tell newer staff upon meeting and welcoming them to the center/main office that if they ever need something and we, the supervisory staff, are not there, Karen will be just as, if not more efficient than us, so they will be in good hands. Karen truly does make our jobs as supervisors easier, as she is willing to do whatever is asked of her, and she often exceeds expectations while doing so. There are times where Karen's institutional knowledge, as well as knowledge acquired over her vast career in customer service, help us to preempt problems and troubleshoot potential issues with auxiliary items such as building maintenance, registration problems, and much more. I'm laughing to myself as I wrote this. By the way, I was the one that wrote the nomination. Because I'm wondering, who will I get to proofread this, since Karen is normally my go-to for proofreading important documents? Over the last 2 years, almost every place of employment has suffered from staffing issues, and we are no exception. There have been many instances where we've needed last-minute shift coverage, and whenever Karen is available to move around her personal schedule, she doesn't hesitate to pick up or switch shifts for the good of the center, or even the department for that matter. Previously an employee of the Hall Aquatic Center, Karen has helped cover some shifts there recently as they were in urgent need. There are many instances where something is truly not her job, which is something she would never say. But Karen not only helps the staff she works with and for, but she lends a helping hand to people throughout the entire department, even though what she takes the initiative to do, she truly does not have to. Furthermore, here is some input from employees in Parks and Recreation who feel Karen is more than deserving for this accolade. Joy Weir, our therapeutic recreation supervisor, has said Karen has been assisting with therapeutic recreation programs she has offered to become our contracted instructor for the adult social group when our previous instructor retired. Karen had come to know all the participants when they would come to our building, so this was an easy transition for participants since they had a familiar face and they all just adore her. Karen still runs the adult social group, but as a therapeutic recreation aide now, and has become an all-time favorite monitor for our Power Moves program. Karen is very creative and always has had an idea to make programs fun and exciting, not to mention always offering to lend a hand where needed. She has a heart of gold and works so well with our participants with various disabilities. Karen has been a great asset to the Therapeutic Recreation Division and is well deserving for Employee of the Month. Linda Jones, Marketing and Special Events Coordinator. Every time I end a call with Karen, I think to myself how much I wish I could clone her because she is one of the best employees we have. Amanda Stillwagon, Park Planner. Karen is an amazing asset to all of us working out of the Harriet Elizabeth Brown Community Center. She's always willing to help in any way that she can. Karen is extremely dependable and a wonderful team player. I feel she is very deserving of this nomination. Taylor Morton, Sports Assistant Coordinator, and my best friend. Karen's work ethic goes above and beyond what is asked of her. She is one of the most helpful people I know and is a great team player. She has been of such great assistance to the Office of Sports, Community, and Wellbeing over the last year that we've been located at the Harriet Elizabeth Brown Community Center. And I know that I have just said a lot, but I believe that there are some people here that would like to say a few words about Karen, so I invite Nate Smith, Division Chief of Recreation, and Shannon Nazal to come up here and speak for Karen.
Good morning. You and I opened that center over there together, and I tell you what, we've been through it, and you're well deserving, and we can't appreciate you enough. People like this is what make county government go, so well done, and we appreciate you.
Karen, you are an amazing human being. You do such a wonderful job. You keep us all where we're supposed to be at HEB, and you know, just your persona and how you treat everyone when they come into that center is just it's what we all should aspire to be. I mean, we are so lucky to have you on your team, and you are very much deserving of this recognition. I'm very proud of you, and I'm so lucky to be working with you.
I thought Steve was going to do that. All righty. As Employee of the Month, we would like to present this plaque to you. And there's a lot of rumors what might be in this check, but I think I don't know if it's cash or if it's a check or something. I've never gotten one, so I hear it's good. Thanks.
So now we have a public hearing scheduled for 10:30, and it is 10:35, so we can do that. Department of Community Resources, Director Moreland.
Good morning. Jennifer Moreland, Director of Community Resources. Start by reading the memo. This is for our FY23 Community Development Block Grant application. Background, a public hearing is required for the purpose of approving a Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for submission to the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD. The Department of Community Resources is coordinating an application to acquire and renovate 85 Main Street, Prince Frederick, Maryland, 20678. The Department of Community Resources oversees Calvert County's freezing weather plan, an annual planning process coordinated with the Department of Public Safety and Calvert County Sheriff's Office to ensure the safety of citizens during extreme winter weather. We have a documented need for an emergency weather shelter due to an inadequate amount of beds in our local shelters and the Safe Nights Freezing Weather Program. Calvert County's 3-year service numbers of homeless have gone up from 373 in 2018, 451 in 2019, and 440 in 2020. These numbers also include the growing number of senior homelessness. The county's current Project Echo shelter, built in 2010, has exceeded available capacity and has limits on serving the chronic homeless with serious mental illness. Instead, these individuals live in encampments and cars around Prince Frederick, presenting a health and public safety issue and frustrating small business owners. A local nonprofit on our own of Calvert, Inc. has been providing services to Calvert County's population of homeless for over 27 years. The nonprofit has proposed a partnership with the county to acquire and develop an emergency shelter and homeless day program at 85 Main Street in Prince Frederick. The property identified is a 2-story property and is zoned for commercial and shelter. The plan is that county will own the property and lease the property to a nonprofit on our own of Calvert, Inc. for a $1 annual fee. The nonprofit will provide financial support of the property's monthly utility expenses in exchange. Discussion. The Department of Community Resources is applying for $800,000 in CDBG grant funding to support this project. Additional funding for day-to-day operations is available through the Maryland Balance of State Continuum of Care. Staff received project approval from the Planning Commission Board for concurrence with the County Comprehensive Plan and inclusion in the Capital Improvement Plan on May 18, 2022. Notice of the public hearing, as required by DHCD, appeared in the May 27, 2022 edition of the Recorder. Fiscal impact, none. No match is required. The county provides in-kind administrative support for this project. The Department of Public Works will support costs for appraisals, options, insurance, and taxes. Conclusion recommendation. In addition to holding a public hearing, we request that you approve this project as a CIP in the FY 2023 budget. Sign the resolution and authorize the board president to sign a statement of assurances and certifications and a letter of support. We also request that you approve the board president to sign the grant agreement and any corresponding subrecipient agreements and amendments that are necessary once the grant is approved by DHCD. All documents have been approved for legal sufficiency by the county attorney's office. And this is a public hearing. We do not have anybody signed up for public comment. Do we have anybody on the phone?
If there's anybody on the phone that wishes to provide public comment, try this one. If there's anyone on the phone who would like to provide public comment, please press *9 to raise your hand. No callers.
No callers. Okay, I will let you know we did get a number of support letters from agencies across the community. And we actually had a citizen come forward who is a resident of Calvert County, but also serves as the Director of Policy Initiatives at the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. So that was really nice to get a letter of support from her as a resident and also working for an agency. And she appreciates the fact that this is a low barrier shelter. And we appreciate that as well. With that said, do you have any questions about the project?
Don't see any.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mr. President,
Gentlemen. Yes, sir. Commissioner Weems?
I move that we close the record, approve this project being added to the FY 2023 capital improvement budget, approve and adopt the resolution authorizing the CDBG application, and authorize the board president to sign the following: the statement of assurances and certifications, the letter of support, the grant agreement, any corresponding sub-recipient agreements, and documents necessary to execute the grant.
Second.
I A motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much,
I want to
Commissioners.
thank you, Director Moreland, for all your hard work and your efforts of coordinating different programs and finding resources to help make these facilities come to life. We in Calvert County, as you see from the numbers, we have I would call a small population of homeless, but they're still important. And Director Moreland works very hard to address their issues and concerns. And so today is just another example of where she saw an opportunity and got resources to take care of that. And, we just want to thank you on behalf of all the citizens of Calvert County for what you do.
Thank you
And
so
Mr.
much.
President, I would like to add a little onto that. She does it with a passion that I've never seen anybody exhibit before in work. Everything you do is definitely with a passion, and it drives a lot.
God, I'm touched. Thank you so much.
Well, and Jen knows. I call her at
We're
all.
determined to make you cry.
Yeah. And this is a fact. I call Jen at all hours, and it could be an abuse issue. I mean, some of the things that you just wish you didn't have to see. And I kid you not, she stops everything, and she's on it. And so many times people come back and go, my God, thank you. I'm like, don't thank me. They're like, she was incredible. I mean, a lot of times that phone rings, folks are at their very lowest point. And Jennifer's got a heart the size of Montana. I mean, she does. She just, she is perfect for that job. So.
Thank you. I'm really touched. And I will say, when I was growing up and went to church here locally at St. Paul's, all the churches would come together and volunteer at Project Echo's homeless shelter. It was completely 100% volunteer run at that point. And I spent several Christmases at that shelter, and they had better food than we had at Christmas, I'm just telling you. But it definitely left an impact on me, and I want to continue to serve in this capacity as long as I can. Thank you.
We hope you do.
Thank you.
So back to awards. Item number 2, Pride and Quality Award. Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lorraine Joyner, Executive Administrative Assistant with the Department of Community Resources, and in that capacity, I get to work with Jennifer Moreland every day, and I echo everything that you all have said about her. She is truly passionate, visionary, amazing member of Calvert County government. I'm here today, however, as Employee Recognition Committee Awards Coordinator to present a Pride and Quality Award. Oh, and by the way, it's almost 3 months after my St. Patrick's Day birthday, so in case you were interested in that. So, Pride and Quality Awards.
Happy birthday. Steve, song?
Pride and Quality Awards aren't something that we give out on a regular basis. They're reserved for those occasions when we want to acknowledge extraordinary job performance that results in greater efficiencies, significant time or cost-saving measures, or broad-reaching public service efforts. And I am confident that once you hear the backstory on this employee, you will agree that her efforts, the breadth and scope of her efforts for Calvert seniors is really impressive. For more information on this and other awards, check out the ERC webpage. And now it is my great privilege to introduce Office on Aging, Aging Services Fiscal Manager, Patty Ryan, who's being recognized today with the Pride and Quality Award. Patty, can you join the commissioners? There she is. Patty coordinates the Office on Aging's tax program and Meals on Wheels program, 2 initiatives that serve hundreds of Calvert seniors each year. Patty also oversees numerous grants, including a recent $800,000 award from the Maryland Department to expand Calvert Pines Senior Center. The ERC is delighted to be a part of this recognition. We thank this exceptional coworker for being a positive team player, for faithfully working to improve the quality of life for Calvert seniors. Thank you, Patty, for all that you do, and thank you, Commissioners, for your continued support of the Employee Recognition Committee. That's all that I'm going to say, but there's more that could be said, that needs to be shared about this amazing employee and the efforts that led to this recognition. And so, to ensure that we do the best possible job of providing you with that backstory, I've asked someone who works with Patty day in and day out to fill in the details from his perspective. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ed Sullivan, Office on Aging Division Chief.
Commissioners, Ed Sullivan, Office on Aging Division Chief. The citizens of Calvert County are blessed to have Patty Ryan as a servant and a fiscal manager of tax dollars. When I think of Patty, I think of three traits that immediately come to mind. One, her faithfulness. She's faithful. I mean, she shows up every day. I can't remember when she's called out. I do not remember. She doesn't telework. She comes in the office, and she's always faithful to the task at hand. And there's something to be said for that, for faithfulness. When you show up every day, Patty does it, and she ought to be commended for that, and we recognize her for that. She's excellent at her job. She's not only faithful, she's excellent at what she does, and I'll go into that momentarily. And then, of course, Patty's available. She's available. She's a servant. She's available, and that means something when you make time to be available. So those three traits are wonderful traits and the foundation of Patty's excellence. I will point out a couple of programs that she oversees, as Lorraine has already mentioned. The tax program. I do want to read what the state of Maryland indicated about the tax program here in Calvert County, which Patty Ryan oversees. Now, nothing happens in a vacuum. Patty would be the first one to tell you this. We have numerous volunteers in Calvert County who volunteer their time to complete the taxes for senior citizens in Calvert County. But Patty spearheads it. Patty spearheads it. Here's what the state of Maryland said, that the Office on Aging was, this is in March of 2022, a couple of months ago, that the Office on Aging was in full compliance with all of the policies and procedures and IRS quality requirements reviewed. These included privacy and security, confidentiality and device care, information and resources, intake and interview and return preparation, quality review, and compliance with the COVID safety protocol. Basically, the tax program was recognized by the state of Maryland. The Calvert County tax program was recognized as being exemplary because of Patty Ryan's leadership and the volunteers in Calvert County. So we thank her for her service there. Lorraine also mentioned the Meals on Wheels program. Thousands of meals are delivered to Calvert County seniors, as you know, commissioners, on an annual basis, hundreds on a daily basis. Patty spearheads that. Of course, we have volunteers throughout the entire county. By the way, we could always use volunteers. Contact the Office on Aging. If you can donate maybe one day a month, we would appreciate that. We thank the volunteers, but Patty spearheads that, the delivery of thousands of meals annually to Calvert County seniors. Would not happen without Patty Ryan. And then finally, as Lorraine mentioned, the $800,000 grant that was secured because of Jennifer Moreland, Patty Ryan, and the staff there, Jacqueline. I know there were other people involved. But Patty oversees much, much more than that, but we don't have time for that, and we don't have to go into that. But Patty is an outstanding employee. We couldn't do it without her. People say, you know, I mean, we're all replaceable, but man, she's going to be tough to replace whenever she calls it a career. I can tell you that. I want to bring up Jennifer Moreland now because Jennifer would like to say a few words. And we also echo the Office on Aging. We're thankful and blessed to have Jennifer Moreland.
So before Ed came on as division chief, we had an exiting division chief who had been with us for quite some time and was wonderful. But her right hand or arm, maybe even more than that, was Patty Ryan. And she's a finance staff person, but she does it all. And so Ed's right. When we lose Patty, we're going to lose 4 different positions maybe. I don't know. I mean, you're incredible, Patty. And you do it without expecting any kind of credit, which is why you deserve to be up here today. You are such a hard worker. You are dedicated. And you're intelligent. I mean, you get, like, there's no mistakes. I get her memo. Well, I don't see them. By the time they come to me, they're perfect. I never have to edit a thing. So just to see that in her grants that she manages, which are many, and then all the financial, it saves the taxpayers money, ultimately. And so we're just very, very appreciative for you, Patty. Thank you.
Ms. Patty, please accept this small token of our appreciation. And you have a wonderful, wonderful day and summer. And thank you for all you do for the citizens.
Thank you for all the kind words. But most of those tasks that are talked about aren't done, without the help and support of a lot of people, including Jennifer and Ed, the other Office on Aging managers, Tanya, Lisa, and Christy, all the Office on Aging staff, and especially the volunteers. One of the best parts of my job is that I get to work with and learn from a lot of great people, so this is for them too. Thank you. Office on Aging, lunch on
So the last award is Team Excellence. Lisa? Oh, not Lisa.
Mr. Robert.
Lisa's getting all the credit today.
We're going to let her. She does a lot of hard work for the ERC.
All right, okay.
Good morning, Commissioners, ladies and
Morning.
gentlemen. Robert Denton, Technology Services Infrastructure Manager. I'm here today to present a Team Excellence Award. Team Excellence Awards acknowledge employees who have excelled in a group setting, displayed cooperation and teamwork in support of a common goal or project, which has produced exemplary results, as this team certainly has. And today, the ERC would like to recognize the Ccpr Registration Simplification Project Team. The 5 team members are from Parks and Rec, Detoria Jacks, Linda Jones, Nate Smith, and from Technology Services, the 2 members are not able to be here today. It is Uwe Pappas and Stephen Pereira. As you're familiar, Stephen is at Harvard today. I'm not sure if that's already been mentioned. This team is being recognized. This team is being recognized for their successful efforts to simplify the Parks and Recreation online registration process. After researching available options thoroughly, the team selected a finished product that was visually appealing and easy to navigate for both staff and citizens. Nate Smith organized a series of meetings to gather feedback and firm up the goals of the project. Detoria Jacks obtained quotes. Uwe provided technical support so that the website was ready for use. Stephen coordinated a plan for ongoing support from Technology Services. Linda provided graphic images that were consistent with county marketing policies. The new user interface provides citizens with an updated look and features a convenient mobile-friendly registration process for Calvert County citizens. Log information for the new WebTrack user interface remains the same for all current users. The ERC is delighted to join the Board of County Commissioners in recognizing these exceptional coworkers for their creativity and determination to provide citizens with the best possible experience when interacting with staff or navigating services. And thanks for helping and ensure Calvert County Calvert County remains an awesome place to live and work. Thank you, Commissioners, for your continued support of the Employee Recognition Committee and for partnering with us to recognize Calvert County government's truly remarkable workforce. Have Shannon come up here and say a few words.
Shannon Nazal, Director of Parks and Recreation. Wow, look at all these Parks and Recreation folks today. Yay. So this project that both Parks and Recreation and TS worked on was something a long time in the making. We had heard for a long time from the community on how difficult it was to navigate the online registration software from the public side. And we heard the community, and we took action to make sure that we did have a system, user interface that was a lot easier to navigate for our citizens to utilize our programs and sign up for our programs. And we've gotten a lot of great comments on this system. And, thank you to the work, of Nate, Victoria, Linda, Uwe, and Stephen for making it happen and making it happen quick. I mean, they were able to knock it out really quick in order to get it ready for registrations right before they were coming up. So folks had a new interface to be able to use and easily be able to register and sign up for programs. So thank you for the great job that you've done on this project, among many other projects, especially while our actual rec track, software specialist is still vacant. So job openings, lots in Parks and Recreation. So thank you very much for all the work that you do, and great job.
So every meeting, you'll see that we recognize employees that do outstanding work. And we do that because, we have 1,200 employees. And the few that we recognize are those that go above and beyond. For them, it's not about a paycheck. It's about the passion that they have in their job. And they put in their full measure of work day. They go above and beyond. And in a lot of these cases, you'll hear they save taxpayers money. They find ways to do things better, spend a lot of time looking for grants and resources so that, it doesn't cost the taxpayers for the benefit that we get. So I have a friend, he's always teasing me. So you're going to take a bunch of pictures tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going to go take a bunch of pictures. But we don't do that to get our picture taken. We do that to recognize the outstanding service that a few of our employees put forth every single day for all of you. And just this small token that we can do to help show our appreciation is just a little bit of our time and effort. So just want you all to think about all these employees that we recognize and why we do it. So, all right, no more speeches. Next item on the agenda is Old Business, Department of Parks and Recreation, Director Nizal. See if this is as much fun.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Now it's time to ask for money.
Wouldn't be Tuesday without it.
Right? So Shannon is all Director of Parks and Recreation. This item is the Golf Course Clubhouse Budget Adjustment Old Business item. So background, Chesapeake Hills Golf Course was obtained by Calvert County in 2008. Since then, there has been a need for continuing improvements to the building and the course. On January 7th, 2018, a winter storm with very low temperatures caused overhead water pipes to fail in 3 locations at the clubhouse. The clubhouse had not been in use since that time and was demolished in May of 2019. Funding was allocated for design and construction, with the project going out to construction bid in 2022. With the pricing of construction increasing, the project's cost has increased. Discussion. A budget adjustment of this amount should be accounted for in the FY22 budget. The budget adjustment required a public hearing because it is in excess of $150,000. A public hearing was held on May 24th, 2022, and the record was closed. Fiscal impact, if approved, amends the adopted budget for FY22 to appropriate and allocate $3,175,000 for the construction of the clubhouse at Chesapeake Hills Golf Course through a loan from the general fund of $3 million and by moving $175,000 from account 432002-45006 Howling Point Park Restroom Snack Stand construction to fund $3,175,000 to account 431201-45006, Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Clubhouse construction. The loan will be repaid annually through an unsecured promissory note from operating account 870-120-30560, Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Administration, note to general fund, beginning in fiscal year 2024. The unsecured promissory note will be promptly signed upon approval of the budget adjustment by the Director of Parks and Recreation. Conclusion recommendation, staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve the budget adjustment 217 and sign the related budget resolution. And I have the unsecured promissory note with me to sign if approved.
Questions?
So I can start.
Sure.
So from the time I got on the board, this clubhouse has been talked about repetitively, especially being down in District 1 where I'm at. So when I was a kid, and Commissioner Williams can tell you that, it was the state-of-the-art place. It had a pool, tennis courts. I mean, as a kid, I never saw things like that. I was like, wow, I thought it was in Beverly Hills or something like that, you know. And it made money then. And I'm speaking to you from a pure business decision. You know, I worked for a really smart gentleman one time, and he used to talk about needs and wants. I remember walking in there and go, boss, we need this, we need this. And he goes, do you need it? Do you want it? I didn't really know what that meant, you know, and I've always struggled with real quick on my feet. You know, I have to sit and let it process sometimes. And he was right. It was more of a want than it was a need. But and I've always been, and it's my opinion, that this is a need there. It was a need then, it's a need now. What it provides is so much more. It's not just a place to have a sandwich or what have you, but it had always been a gathering place for, there was a funeral and people needed a place to go to, a business meeting. And you'll see successful golf courses across America, which is struggling at times. The successful ones, they're complete. In my opinion, it's incomplete until it gets this clubhouse. It opens up so much more as a business opportunity. I have always said this place can pay for itself. And you say, well, how can it pay for itself? It's got to be a need. All you had to do is see who's running for office this year, because they all used it several times. You know, the need has always been there. The schools use it. The community uses it. People come from other counties and stuff to use it. And then do you have the right team? We have the perfect team at the right time. They understand the business. They understand where it's going. They see how the business has changed some, and they have changed with it. I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. And I know, you've heard me say it a million times, this is the absolute worst time to build anything. It just truly is. The cost of goods are off the chain. We don't see an end in sight. In the near future, eventually things do change. I mean, we've seen cycles, but I truly believe then, and I truly believe now, that this not only can pay for itself, but also make money and put money back into the county. And that's very hard to do, because a lot of times you have amenities that you need for a community, but you just know that, you're just gonna have to pay for it, each time. This is one has an opportunity to actually put money back in the community. And sorry for the long speech, but just kind of where I'm at on that.
So Director Nizal, we, as Commissioner Hart has alluded to, we got caught in COVID, and the project ran over budget. But the course has been in the black now for 2 years.
So we have, with the last 2 years, our rounds and our revenues have been higher than they've ever been.
Which puts us in the black.
This year, we're on track for it. Last fiscal year, we budgeted for 500,000 of general fund contribution. We used 34,000.
And when this came in over budget, you did a review of the project. Did you make adjustments based on that review?
We did take a look at the project, and the adjustments that would be need to be made for any significant reductions would cause for an entirely new redesign.
So no adjustments were made?
We have removed the type of patio on the back. There was an ad alternate for that we did not include.
So some adjustments have been made.
Some adjustments have been made,
Right.
yes.
And today, your proposal is that the over-budget cost will be repaid back to the county through profits from the golf course?
Yes, annually.
Annually, correct. All right,
Mr. President,
Commissioner Gadway.
I would like to commend the golf course for making sure that consumables have been kept in stock. Thank you. And because of that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve and adopt Budget Adjustment 217 and sign the related resolution upon presentation of the signed unsecured promissory note, which she brought with her today.
Second.
So that motion is, and a second, that we approve and adopt Budget Adjustment 217 and sign the related resolution upon presentation of the signed unsecured promissory note. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you,
Director.
Commissioners. Signing it right now, signing my life away. Thank you, Commissioners.
You and me both. So the next item on the agenda is consent. There are several items under consent. Item 1, Department of Community Resources Public Transportation FY 2022 ARPA Grant Agreement. Item 2, Department of Public Works United States Geological Survey Joint Funding Agreement. Item 3, Department of Finance Budget Award Recommendation ITB 2022-046. I'm sorry, we removed item. I'll catch myself after a while. New item number 3, Department of Finance and Budget Award Recommendation ITB 2022-050 Pavement Overlay and Maintenance. Item 4, Department of Finance and Budget Award Recommendation ITB 2022-064 Sodium Hypochlorite Solution 15%. Are there any objections to those items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda will be adopted as presented. Next, new business, item 1, Department of Finance and Budget, Board of Education. Director Strand. By yourself today.
I am by myself today. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Sharon
Morning.
Strand, the Director of Finance and Budget. This memo is for the Board of Education to request to increase the fiscal year 2022 restricted budget. Background, the Board of Education, or BOE, requests the Board of County Commissioners approval of a budget adjustment for federal awards and other programs that were not outlined in the Board of Education's operating budget in fiscal year 2022. The attached memo details the request. In summary, the Board of Education requests to increase revenues and expenditures as shown in Attachment A. Fiscal impact, there is no fiscal impact to the county for this action. Conclusion recommendation, staff recommends the BOCC approve the budget adjustment.
Questions?
Nobody's here to answer them.
So Director Strand's going to try to answer them.
Yes, Director Strand, no offense meant. I mean, from the school,
No,
board,
no,
or superintendent's office.
no. So Director Strand, we are still amending FY '22 to include all the, how do I say it, relief funds that the school board obtained during FY '22 that's probably COVID related.
Correct.
So I know you don't know the answer to this, but we've done several of these, if my memory serves me correct, recently.
About every other week.
Correct.
So when are we finally gonna get all the amendments to FY '22 for the money they received through different grants and COVID?
Well, again, I can't specifically answer to that, but as grants come in and available and approved, they'll keep coming back to us for those grants that have been received and approved by their board for budget adjustments.
So I guess I do have a question here.
And remember, it's Director Strand.
I
She's
understand.
not worked for
I
the Board of
understand,
Education.
and it's kind of a hypothetical, but we based all of our budget decisions on information that was given to us up until the point when we had to solidify it And now we see they got an extra 6 million coming in on top of that.
But we don't know when this money actually came, correct, Director Strand?
I do not have that information, no.
So we don't know if this money just arrived or whether they got it 7 months ago. They're just amending their budget to include it.
Correct.
Which there was a
Well, to
discussion.
Right, I'm sorry.
No, which there was a discussion several months ago. They didn't even think they had to do this, was the answer we got back. And when we advised them that, yes, you have to amend your budget for any, doesn't matter where those funds come from. At the end of the day, your budget has to reflect every dollar you received and every dollar you spent, no matter where it comes from. So now they're trying to catch up. So my point to Commissioner Gatway is just, we don't know when this money came. We don't know if it showed up last week or 9, 10 months ago. They're just trying to amend their budget. And since nobody's here today to answer that question, but at some point, I would like to see a total. Since we're doing this in bits and pieces, it would be nice to see a total of how much money they actually got in FY '22
Above and beyond their original
through
adopted budget.
grants, COVID-related, that they were not anticipating. Because, I mean, today it's $6 million.
So,
And this ain't the first.
okay, so I've been under the impression this has been going on about every other week or so since I've been a commissioner, 10+ months. So you're saying this is not normal? This is extra money a lot?
No, this is not normal. Normally, we will get, in my experience, I have more experienced partners here. They always come in during this time of year, just like the rest of us. They see there's surplus money left in one account. They're a little short in another. So they're moving the money around to get their budget right by the end of the fiscal year. What's different this year is all this money that came in last year, COVID-related grants that we got just like they did, and now they're trying to amend their budget to include them. And so that's why this year it has been much more than normal, because in the last 3 months, they've been coming in dribs and drabs, amending their budget based on revenues that were received that were not included in the original FY '22 budget. As long as you're nodding, I'm good.
And, you know, I don't want anybody to think it's an attack. You know, it seemed like there's a public perception, there's this adversarial relationship on every single issue. You have to be allowed to have a business discussion. You can't work under the microscope of don't say anything because it's going to be perceived as adversarial. And I'm saying this to everyone out there because it's not that. From the time I came on, I remember saying to Terry Shannon, the old county administrator, I said, do they have a fund balance like we do? And somebody shoot me if I'm wrong on this number, but it's been near $10 million since I've been here. Now, it's an ebb and flow, goes to some goes to this and some goes to that. But, you know, so I was like, well, where do we source this? Do they, to Commissioner Hance's point, I was confused very early on because it was a constant adjustment, and you know, and where does it come from? And so what my mantra has constantly been is communication. It's not, we have to get back to, in society, that we are allowed to talk and we're allowed to have different opinions, and that's how we get better, by expressing different opinions. And when it's money, it's serious stuff. We get paid, our responsibility is to be the stewards of your tax dollars. So we have to ask these questions. So I don't want it to be perceived, it's not an attack. We just want clarity of, okay, whatever your process is, let us know, we'll adapt. You know, but to be standing here on the day that we signed the budget with still questions, you know, and that's not an attack on you at all. It's just what this is, you know. So it's I know I've done, well, technically it'll be 8, but the first one was really done when I got here. You know, it's a long process. So I've physically been part of 7 of them, and this one was different. To say, so I would hope in the future that it's not perceived as an attack, but it would have been nice to have somebody here today, and maybe there was reasons why I couldn't, but it's a pure communication.
Because at some point, we've done a reporting of how much money we got in and where that money went. And I would only ask the same thing of the school system. At the end of the day, a final reporting of how much money we got in and where it went. It's just, You know, I don't expect anything of them I don't expect of us. I got the question recently, how much money did you all get? I said, I don't know, here's what I think it is. Where'd you spend it? I said, there's a report. If you contact the office, they'll give you a full accounting where every penny went and what it was used for. And that's all we're asking for out of the school system, I believe. It's just,
Yeah, the school system does go through an annual audit also, just like the county. So we should be able to have a full reporting when the fiscal year end closes and once they've gone through their audit.
I'll give you a great example. So when the funding formula was presented on my last board, they were so relieved because they're like, wow, okay, we know up front what we're getting. It's kind of like what we're asking, you know, just let us know what the expenses are. And it, to me, it's not the art of negotiation. It's not, it should be, what do you need to run the best, most successful school system? We all have kids in school. We all, you know, we all value how valuable that school system is. We just need to know what you need to make it functional. And it's not ego. It's not anything like that. It's just, you know, and so if their process is that they don't know till tomorrow, well then let's find out tomorrow and we'll have it ready for next year. But it's been like cloak and dagger for some, you know, like, so I don't know, and I'll make it my fault. I don't understand why I don't know their process.
And to parlay on to the comments about communications, a few weeks ago when we were asked to go to their meeting and we got there, I tried to talk about teacher and staff salaries and support staff salaries. I know that in a very difficult budget year, we worked very hard, this body worked very hard to get proper compensation to the county employees. And as I started trying to talk to the school board about that and communicate with the school board and try and open a door to talk about more increases, because when I asked them what their increases were, I was told 1% plus a step. Communications, let's talk about stuff. I tried to talk to them that day about it, but they shut down the communications. I really look forward to working with the school board or new school board or new superintendent on a clean slate to do what we can in order to make sure that we have open lines of communication and we can work in and amongst their budget and help give them ideas. You know, for teachers to get a 1.7%, and that includes their step increase this year, on a year that we have 7 or 8% inflation, they're going backwards in time. And hopefully some of the money that they're putting into the institutional salaries and wages, hopefully they'll be able to do something better on that side.
Yeah, I just hope to know it's not adversarial at all. We're just trying to do the job. You know, it's just part of the job that we're tasked to do. And me personally, it would help me tremendously if I just knew what their timelines were. I want to work with them. So.
And if there is no motion, if this is one of those situations where if there is no motion or it gets or if it doesn't get seconded or approved, this still goes through, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if we take, just not trying to be a devil's advocate, but if we take no action on this today, this will flow through by default.
I believe it's 30 days?
And we're already, this is May 19th, so
I think it's
we're only a
30.
few days away from that 30-day deadline.
Right, we would have to. From the request or the board passage?
No, it's from notification, right? From the time they notify us, I believe?
Correct. It's 30 days.
Okay.
But based on what I heard in the spirit of cooperation, moving forward,
Sure.
I would like to make a motion
yes, sir.
to approve the budget adjustment as requested by the Board of Education.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we approve the request of the Board of Education to amend their FY22 budget. Any discussion on that motion?
Discussion, yes. That
Mr. Gatwick?
I just wish that they'd had somebody here from the Board of Ed in order to communicate and talk to us.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Director Strand. So Administrator Willis, that does remind me that we should reach out to the new superintendent and try to get him in once he's settled here.
We're on that, sir.
Thank you. So in the golf course, we moved to new business out of consent. Did we take care of that all under old business? We're done?
Yes, sir. You still have new business item, Department of Finance and Budget Award Recommendation, ITB 2022-046, which is Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Clubhouse Construction Award.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Wheaton?
I just want to publicly state that I know there's frustration and there was no malice with that
No.
comment. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So are we ready to move on the golf course contract? All right.
Yep.
Counselor, Director Strand.
I'll go ahead and read the memo.
Thank you.
Again, this is, the subject is ITB 2022-46, Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Clubhouse Construction Award Recommendation. Background: the Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Clubhouse construction consists of an approximately 8,150 square foot single-story clubhouse with a mechanical mezzanine, administrative, bar and grill, commercial kitchen, caterer's kitchen, pro shop, and support. The work also includes site/civil, general construction, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection engineering. Discussion: during the weeks of January 23rd, 2022 and January 30th, 2022, advertisements appeared in the two local newspapers, the eMaryland Marketplace website, the county's Facebook page soliciting bids for the reference contract. 3 bids were received and opened during a virtual bid opening on February 23rd, 2022. The bid tabulation from the bid opening and bid comparison are attached. See attachment B and C respectively. The bids were thoroughly reviewed. The lowest apparent bidder, WM Davis Incorporated, meets all requirements of the specifications. WM Davis, Inc. has satisfactorily provided service for the county in the past. In addition, reference checks provided satisfactory comments. Fiscal impact. Funding for this contract has been allocated in the Chesapeake Hills Golf Course Clubhouse Construction Capital Project Account 431201-45006, predicated upon the Board of County Commissioners' approval of Budget Adjustment 217, which is on the BOCC's agenda today. Conclusion recommendation. In accordance with Section 6-101 of the Code of Public Laws, it is recommended the Board of County Commissioners adopt the staff's recommended findings in Attachment A and award the contract to the lowest responsive bidder, WM Davis, Inc. of Hollywood, Maryland, for the base bid in the amount of $5,732,435 and unit pricing if required and approved by the county, and approve a contingency for unforeseen changes or modifications in the amount of $573,243.50.
So gentlemen, we had the earlier discussion about how Director Nizal is going to take care of the overage. So what you have before you is the award contract, including the overage coverage. Any discussion or questions or
I just think this is another example of of where local preference could have been or may have been beneficial at times.
Agreed.
And next year, we'll work harder on that legislation.
And we keep sending it, and we'll keep sending it, and eventually we will get it to Annapolis.
Any other discussion? Motion? Questions?
Move to approve, Mr. President.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we award the contract to the lowest responsive bidder, William M. Davis Incorporated of Hollywood, Maryland, for the base bid and unit pricing, and approve a contingency for unforeseen changes or modifications in the amount of $573,243.50, and the award for the total contract is $5.732,435 for total project cost. Any other discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Director Strand.
Thank
So
you.
now we get to the fun part.
This is the easy part.
Should be by now. Yes, ma'am.
It did go well.
All the hard work's been done.
Yeah, it went well.
So today's, the last item that I have on the agenda today is the adoption of the fiscal year 2023 operating and capital budget. Background, 2 public hearings were conducted, the first on March 22nd, 2022, and the second on May 17th, 2022, to present and receive public comment on the staff recommended budget and the commissioner's budget for fiscal year 2023. Discussion. The fiscal year 2023 general fund operating budget totaling $3,442,047,410
Big number, isn't it?
$410 is a balanced budget. Overall, the revenues that fund the budget increased approximately $14.1 million in comparison to the fiscal year 2022 adopted general fund budget. The $14.1 million increase is comprised of a $4.5 million increase in income taxes, a $1.5 million increase in property taxes, and $1.7 million transfer from capital projects, and a $6.4 million increase to other revenue categories, which includes a health insurance reimbursement. The fiscal year 2023 budget continues to focus on providing funding for education, public safety, and capital investments, while maintaining a high level of service to our community. $12.3 million of the increased revenues will be used to provide additional funding to the Board of Education, the Sheriff's Office, and the Detention Center. The other most notable increase includes career EMS and the library. Funding towards education remains the primary focus of the budget, at 41% of the general fund operating budget and 37% of the 6-year capital improvement budget. Education funding for operations of $141.3 million is provided, which is $6.6 million over the state mandated maintenance of effort funding level. There are 27 new employees in this budget, including 9 for public safety positions. The budget also includes one step, one restored step, a market adjustment, and a 4% cost of living adjustment for county employees. The FY23 general fund operating budget has increased by $6,760,217 since the public hearing held on May 17th. Attachment A outlines the changes. Due to the county's reporting requirements in fiscal year 2023, the Calvert Marine Museum and the Calvert Library System will be set up in a separate fund, but the county will continue to fund these organizations through transfers from the general fund. Fiscal impact. The tax-supported general fund budget is increasing by 4.3% over the prior year. Conclusion recommendation. Staff recommends that the board close the record and approve and assign the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023 budget and related tax rates and fees. So I just wanted to add one other thing. So we did receive, on the agenda today, we did apply for the fiscal year 2023 CDBG application. I would like to get your direction on including that $800,000 in the capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2023. It's not in there right now. We will only actually add it to our system once we have a letter of approval. But at least it'll be in the adopted budget when it's presented at the end of the month, and we won't have to come back for a second public hearing.
So what's that number again, please?
The $800,000 for the CDBG application that was on part of public hearing this morning on the agenda, the $800,000.
For Jennifer's project.
Correct.
Questions?
I do. First and foremost, this is the first time I've done this, and I appreciate all the help from my other commissioners and the amazing amount of input by staff and everybody else. I am very happy and pleased to be to this point in the process. As I was looking over the weekend on part of this stuff, page 14 out of 22 on the fee schedules, I would like planning and zoning and budget and finance to take a look at those fee schedules for the bonds for planning outside the 100-foot buffer, inside the 100-foot buffer on construction work. So if they could just look at that and see if those dollar amounts are commensurate with where it currently should be in reference to actual costs, I'd appreciate it.
So Sharon, what's the total number with the 800,000 in it?
So the general fund budget would stay the same. Of the $342,047,410. It's just the capital piece of the 6-year plan. Only the first year gets adopted, and that's what would be increasing by the $800,000. And again, this money is grant only at this point. There's no county portion that will be added. Once the grant is received, if any additional or funding is required, we will bring that back to the commissioners to increase the capital project.
What's the 6.7 million that's also being included?
So the 6.7 million, the increase is about $100,000 for salaries, an additional $59,748 for grants for the county portion of the grants, and then the 6.6 million is the funding for the Board of Education that happened between the commissioner's budget and the adopted budget.
Gotcha. Any other questions? Motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion
Yes, sir.
to close the record and approve and adopt the resolution adopting the FY 2023 operating and capital budget with the additional $6,760,217 reflected in attachment A to the presentation, and adopting the setting of the tax rates, fines, and fees being effective as reflected in the resolution, and in addition include the CDBG amount of $800,000 to the capital improvement project.
Second?
I have a motion and a second that we adopt the FY '23 operating and capital budget with those amendments that were mentioned in Commissioner Weems' motion. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you all for your help.
Thank you.
I do want to take this opportunity to thank, this is Director Strand's first time heading up the budget process. I think she learned a lot, but she did, yes. She did an excellent job, and as I've always said, this is the worst part of the job from my perspective, is going through the budget, because we have lots of requests for wants and needs, and it's hard to say no to people, but sometimes you have to. The revenues just aren't there. But Director Strand has done her best, and her staff have done their best to work with us to come to a budget that we all feel comfortable with. I want to thank the Sheriff's Office for all their support and work on their amendments to achieve market adjustment for salaries. And as we learned in this process, our own employees were even further behind than our police officers, and we could not, in good conscience, not do one without the other. So for those of you out there that are concerned about that increase to salary, our employees were neglected for decades. They were always used to balance the budget. And so we just felt like enough is enough, and we couldn't move forward with the Sheriff's Department without taking care of our own employees. And that took a lot of work from department heads, Director Strand and her office to, when we threw that loop at them, to get that in this budget and still balance it. So we can't say enough about Director Strand and her staff, and I think Colonel McDowell wants to say something, or else he's here to arrest me.
Not now, not.
It's passed.
But tomorrow.
Could have gone the wrong way.
Assistant Sheriff Dave McDowell. Commissioners, I want to echo a lot of what you just said, Commissioner Hanson. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the efforts of so many people who put that market adjustment together, tireless hours of back and forth, and from Ryan McGaffin, Nick DeFelice, Laura Kent, Tom Phelps, Sharon Strand and her team, Director Willis, you all as a board working with us. And I believe this was no surprise to anybody, but one of the things that makes Calvert County such a special place is its workforce. So today really validates that. And again, just on behalf of my team and everybody else we've worked with, I want to thank you very much for this.
Absolutely. Thank you for all your efforts, and Mr. Phelps' work at Nick's on a napkin. We appreciate that. So, but it was a challenge, but we got through it, and as long as we can balance the budget, I'm a happy man.
Well, I don't know if they can see it on their monitors, but I brought my big guys with me.
I noticed that.
So
I
you can
noticed
see
that.
them standing back there.
If we were having a tug of war today, we'd be.
Again, thank you.
Well,
Yes,
you got,
sir.
you
Thank
got
you.
4 positive votes. Good job.
Yeah.
And Sharon, I do want to say, I've learned so much over the last 7 years because I think I had finance on speed dial, and trying to learn this piece and that piece. And I got to say, this was the easiest and smoothest. It's no indictment to anybody, just them teaching me more and me learning more about it to where I didn't have to, what was this and what was that. So tell everybody, thank you. I mean, it was as smooth as I can remember. Better than that night we were there till 11 at night.
Yes.
I'll never forget that.
Yes.
I'll talk about that to when I'm
Yeah.
190 in old age home, about that guy waiting all night for dirt. I'll never forget that.
Well, I want to thank
Kid
you
you
all
not.
and thank the County Administrator Mark for your all support, and to staff and to all the departments for us to being willing to go back to them, discuss things, make adjustments where needed. So it's really everyone that plays a part in this in order to bring forth a balanced budget and a budget that we all can agree upon. So thank you all.
Mr. State's Attorney.
Good morning. Robert Harvey, State's Attorney. I just want to thank all of the people involved in this budget effort for your continued support of public safety. One of the main attractions of Calvert County is the quality of life, and public safety is a large, large part of it. So thank you all for your recognition of the importance of public safety. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, once again, thank you, Director Strand.
you.
And just guess what? In 60 days, we'll start on FY24.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Look for our guidance and coming
Can we
back.
actually wait 60 days before we start, or we have to
I
start?
will
soon?
make sure that we do.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next item on the agenda is a work session, Department of Planning and Zoning Text Amendment TA 22-01. Director Cook. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mary Beth Cook, Director of Planning and Zoning. With me is Rachel O'Shea, our zoning planner. Today, we're bringing forward a text amendment. This is the first time you're seeing it, so it's the very start of the process. And typically, text amendments come to us from various ways. This one's a little unusual. We had a developer moving forward in good faith effort based on the zoning ordinance that is on our website. And staff recognized that there was an error on that website when comparing it to the official document, which is our paper copy in the office. So we immediately notified E-Code, who handles our online, but because they were moving forward in good faith, they worked with economic development and brought forward this text amendment. So Rachel's going to walk you through the memo and a brief presentation on the changes.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Next slide, please. The purpose of today's work session is to review and discuss a proposed text amendment number 22-01 to permit assisted living facilities within the D1 subdistrict of the Solomons Island Town Center. And then we would like to request direction to schedule a work session with the Planning Commission to begin the public adoption process for the proposal. Planning and Zoning staff received a text amendment request from the Department of Economic Development. The Economic Development staff is requesting a text amendment to pursue to allow assisted living facilities within a subsection of the Solomons Island Town Center. This slide shows a map of the subdistricts of the Solomons Island Town Center. The text amendment would be consistent with the descriptions of the types of uses for the Solomons Town Center subdistricts. D1 is described as designated for mixed use, as is subdistrict D3 to the south of D1. To the north are subdistricts D2 and D3, which are designated primarily for residential uses. And further north of that is subdistricts D4 and D5, which are also primarily designated for mixed uses. And we'll go to the next slide, please. This is the key chart for the land use chart that we'll take a look at on the next page. So if the square indicates a blank, that means the use is not permitted. A P is a permitted use. C is permitted if it meets certain listed conditions. And then the color-coded chart below is that descriptions that I just went over of what the primary focus is of the uses in that subdistrict. So next slide, please. So this is the Solomons Town Center use chart, broken up by the subdistricts across the top and a list of the different types of residential uses on the left-hand side. So the only change that is proposed at this time is to put a P for D1 for assisted living facilities to make that use permitted within that subdistrict of the Solomons Island Town Center. There are two other primary assisted living facilities in Solomons. One is located in F1 district and the other is located in the D3 district. So if you go to the next slide, please. So this brings us to the next steps. Staff recommends that the BOCC discuss the proposed text amendment and direct staff to schedule a work session with the Planning Commission to begin the public adoption process.
Any questions?
Commissioner Gadway?
So moved.
So just a question. This is site-specific.
We're going to do it for the whole zoning district. The whole D1 zoning district would be permitting assisted living.
In Solomon.
In Solomons.
And is that consistent with the other town center zoning?
All of the town centers have their own zoning, so it would be difficult to compare.
Okay. So this is specific to Solomon's Town Center.
Correct, in the
D1 district.
Yes.
Making this an allowed
Permitted
permissible
use.
use.
Yes.
Okay.
Waiting.
Any other questions?
It's potential.
Discussion?
Is it a? So, this project, because everybody at home's got to be going, what is this? John? It's a Holiday Inn. So, it's changed ownership, and there is a huge need for this type of facility. When I first came on the board almost 8 years ago, senior housing was the number one thing talked about. So we're trying to work with these folks to provide more senior housing. So I don't want anybody to get a conception that all of a sudden Solomon's is going to go through all these changes and things of this nature, but this is the steps to, and it will be a big asset to the community because it will go from a retirement apartment to could end up to be full assisted living. And we've had several conversations with these folks, and everything seems to be very positive for the community, and it's the way it's laid out with parking and everything, and all the questions that might be with EMT services. We've discussed all those things. So this is very well thought out. It's not just thrown upon. But I just wanted to ease minds. When this talk started a few months ago, there was a lot of talk because when we do have Asbury and we do have nursing center on Dow Road, that but that's this is something that's is very needed.
Motion, Commissioner Calvert?
I already did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is there a second to his motion?
Second.
A motion and a second that we direct staff to take this forward to the Planning Commission for a work session. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're right back up.
I am. Just changing staff.
Now you got the tough one.
Miss Jen.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mary Beth Cook, Director of Planning and Zoning. With me now is Jenny Plummer-Welker, who is our long-range planner. So we're here today to talk about the adopted 2019 comprehensive plan, which included proposing expansions to many of the county's 7 town centers. And that was proposed for several reasons. A few of the reasons were to incorporate the existing employment center zoning, to include properties that have already been developed, residentially, commercially, and to include schools so that they could be in priority funding areas by being within the town center. Next slide, please. So note that these expansions were only shown on the proposed land use plan in the comprehensive plan. These changes would not become effective until the zoning map was officially updated and adopted. To date, that has not occurred. We've heard a lot of comments recently at public hearings that citizens are not in favor of the proposed phased expansion of Prince Frederick Town Center. They've been very vocal about that. We're here today to discuss all of the town center expansions and to talk about any changes that you may want to make to the comprehensive plan. Staff has been working with the Planning Commission on updates to the Prince Frederick and the town center master plans. We would like to make any changes that you desire to the comprehensive plan now so that the town center plans can be drafted to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Any changes proposed to the comprehensive plan require an approximate 6-month process, which includes review and discussion and consideration by you, followed by the Planning Commission, a 60-day review by the State Clearinghouse through the Maryland Department of Planning, 2 public hearings, one for the Planning Commission to approve the changes, and the second would be for the Board of County Commissioners to adopt, make changes, or send back to the Planning Commission to make changes or deny. So Jenny's going to walk us through the slides of each of the individual town centers to discuss any changes you may want to make to the land use plan to begin the process.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Jenny Plummer-Welker, Long Range Planner. This next slide shows the 9 town centers. Technically, North Beach and Chesapeake Beach are considered town centers under the County Comprehensive Plan. They have their own planning and zoning authority. The 7 that come under your purview, and we'll look at each in turn, are Dunkirk, Owings, Huntingtown, Prince Frederick, St. Leonard, Lusby, and Solomons. For some of the town centers, the town center boundaries would be adjusted so that the town center boundary follows parcel boundaries. For whatever reason, there are some split parcels. Perhaps it's because of a stream or something like that. So please note that if some town center doesn't expand to the full extent as adopted by the comprehensive plan, there might be some minor adjustments to take care of those parcels that have multiple zones on on them. Next slide, please. Starting with Dunkirk, the map on the left is a close-up of the map that is in the adopted comprehensive plan, which the commissioners adopted after the public hearing on July 3rd. The map on the right is the slide that was presented at the commissioners' public hearing in 2019, in July. For Dunkirk, the proposed expansion that the commissioners then later adopted was to include Dunkirk District Park to the west and the state-owned Park and Ride parcel to the northeast. The next slide, please.
Real quick.
Oh, yes.
Do you want us to ask questions or make comments as we go, or wait till the end?
Your pleasure.
Mr. President?
It may be simpler as
Especially
we
the
go.
questions, it may be easier, as Commissioner Hart says, while she's got the map up, she's already
Yes.
talked about it. So if you have specific questions to a town center, you should definitely ask
Okay,
those.
can we go back? It's my understanding that there is only one or two residences inside the existing and the expansion area of Dunkirk Town Center?
I believe there's two residents in the town center of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, unlike the other town centers, is primarily commercial and not a mixture of residential and institutional. By expanding it, it would include two institutional properties, the park and the Park and Ride.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And my hope with that was that nobody would ever be, and I know three commissioners can change, on any given Tuesday, but that would always be open space and always be a park. So hopefully, if some future board decides to do that, they have to come out and publicly say, hey, we're going to destroy this nice piece of property. So that was honestly my intent.
And so at this point, hearing no change to the expansion to Dunkirk Town Center, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Moving on to the next is Owings. The close-up on the left is from the 2019 adopted plan, and the map on the right shows the proposal at the Board of County Commissioners public hearing in 2019. The expansion of Owings takes it across the street, and as Mary Beth said, this doesn't take effect until the zoning maps are changed. This is in the plan, and it's a 2040 plan, so looking out a couple decades. For Owings, it would go across Maryland 260 to include the rural commercial and employment center zoned land, plus land that is zoned residential district that is along Maryland 260. There are some parcels on the very southeast and along Maryland 260 that are split, so that would incorporate all of those parcels. Are there any questions about Owings?
So Jenny, how large, do you know offhand how large that purple area is?
Oh, yes, just a moment.
I know you got it. And there's already a gas station on that side of the road.
Yes, and there's a church in that
And a
proposed
church.
expansion.
And they are both located in the new proposed area.
Yes. So Owings, the current acreage is 65 acres. The proposed, what was adopted was a total of 170. So
So you added 100 acres.
approximately. 105.
We can round off.
Jenny, she's on point.
Does that take us back into, there was a discussion about stuff on both sides of the road? Does that open that up? Because it's a valid point. The centers that we don't have stuff on both sides of the road, do we don't have the choke points and the bottleneck? And are we opening up that door with that? 'Cause
It depends on how you would zone it, because currently there are, as noted, the gas station's already there and the church is already there. So the planning commission and the county commissioners through the zoning could restrict the amount of what, you could say that there's no more commercial land than what's already commercially zoned right now.
So it would be when we're writing the ordinance for zoning, that all of these different uses would be considered where we would allow them within the town center.
Does this open the door to make that easier, though? Because I do believe in the point where you see where you don't have it on both sides, and it does seem to be much smoother.
The commissioners could restrict the residential zoning to what's allowed there now, so that it wouldn't allow any additional. The advantage is with state highway projects, we could then request to the state to expand the priority funding area to the newly expanded area, and any funding that, for example, sidewalk retrofit program, the state funds 100% of construction within a priority funding area, but only 50% outside the priority funding area. And the town of Chesapeake Beach did ask, and we went through the process with the Maryland Department of Planning to expand the town center, the PFA designation for the town of Chesapeake Beach along 260 and 261 so that the town would qualify for that 100% funding.
But you know what I learned in that, and you learn everything the hard way sometimes, was, when we took the money from the state down at Solomon's, we couldn't put the paper down in those sidewalks, and all the weeds started growing through. And when I asked Rye about that, I said, why in the world would we not put the paper down and keep the weeds? Because the state requirement, we needed it for the water to run off. So then what we ended up doing was having to hire somebody to come back to pull weeds, where if we'd just put the plastic down or paper down, what have you, we wouldn't have had that or some other thing. So I'm always leery. I've learned to be leery of any time they want to give us something, what the strings are.
No free money.
Yeah, because, we would have been better off to just come up with another way to satisfy that requirement, without having to have this labor-intensive piece. And not to, so that, you're just learning as I go with that stuff, but, so I'm not always excited to get something from them.
So Jenny, I'm sure you know, are there multiple tracts in that 100 acres, or is that maybe one large property?
It's composed of several parcels that are not the church and not the gas station. I do not know if each of those parcels has a house on it or not.
Because 100 acres is pretty significant. Because you've more than doubled the size of Owings. And as Commissioner Hart mentions, I always have heartburn because the two choke points in Calvert County are Prince Frederick and Dunkirk. And if you look at those two town centers, why they're choke points is because we have town on both sides of the road. And all the towns where we have everything on the same side of the road, we don't have choke points. So it always does concern me when we start saying, well, we're going to put the town on both sides of the main road, and what happens in 20 years when that 100 acres gets developed. Wow, may not seem like a lot today.
And right now, that is a good portion of that is 2 lane, and it's already tight.
Director Cook has something to say.
I do. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are trying to incorporate the employment center, the EC, and that's what most of that 100 acres is on the north side, in RC and EC. So we were pulling those into the town center. So there are a lot of things that could be developed there today.
Anyway.
So Mary Beth, what you're saying is you were staying consistent.
Right, with what we did through all the town centers.
And if I could offer, if the commissioners want additional information, we could provide these maps with the zoning, the current zoning underlaid so that you could see exactly where the employment center is zoned, where the rural commercial is zoned, if that would be helpful in your decision-making.
I trust you.
The majority of that 100 is already employment center. I missed that at the beginning. I
On the
understand
north
now.
side.
Correct, I
Yes,
understand.
yes.
And with that in mind, I'm okay with this one and I'm okay with it to some degree because it's already zoned for that. It's just including it into the town center.
As long as we're careful when we do the upzoning, we don't
Right.
make it 14 units to the acre.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't want to open that door,
I'm thinking 6.
We'll see how long you can think that.
Okay, so I'm hearing no change in Owings.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Moving on to the next slide is Huntingtown. On the left is the close-up of the map from the comprehensive plan from 2019. The map on the right shows one of the options that was considered at the Board of County Commissioners public hearing in 2019. that was ultimately adopted, which includes the high school and then land to the south going across Cox Road that it currently has the new church on it. This includes land on the east side of Maryland 24 that includes rural commercial, residential district, and rural community.
The date on the bottom of that is July 23rd, 2019. I was at that meeting, and on one hand, I really appreciate everything that happened at that meeting because the next morning I woke up and realized that I wanted to be a county commissioner. Had zero desire before that. I was adamantly opposed to it then. I spoke against it, and the commissioners voted for it. I decided to become a commissioner. I got an early head start. I would like to have it pulled back across Route 4. That's what's right. Choke points, there's so many different items in there that in my opinion, the town center of Huntingtown should not be on the east side of Route 4.
And I agree with Commissioner Gadway, and I believe we have resolved the worrying about priority funding for the school, that we will still be able to get all the funding that we need for the school, whether regardless it's in there or not. I believe
There's an exemption process for
Yeah,
school properties
so we can
outside priority funding
so we
areas.
won't lose that for the school. So that was really my whole worrisome back then, that was the priority funding for the school. But since we can work around that, I really like the thought process of keeping it all on the one side of the road, going back to there. I'm all in favor of that.
I know where you were. I know where I was.
I know. And just to clarify, and again, with no malice, sir, there was a plurality.
I understand.
So, when you say the commissioners, it's...
Well,
You hear me.
I said
That's
that
all.
it was not me.
Okay.
It was not me. Now I am. So when I looked at it, it was something that the commissioners did. On that day, I would probably be willing to tell you that I actually had to spell check the word commissioner if I were to write it out. So, I didn't know anything about the job at that point, but what happened that day was it was a 3-2 vote. I do remember that. So.
And I did vote for that, based on getting Huntingtown in there, but once again, as you learn through the process, there was another workaround. So being that, we can get that school out of there, I see no purpose to go across the street, to be quite honest. I mean, unless there's something different, but,
My position hasn't changed. I
So-
don't believe Commissioner Weems has either,
so.
I think we need to work on this one.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Pull it back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can move forward with
No
taking
changes.
Huntingtown Town Center to where it is today.
Back to the original.
In the
Back to the
zoning.
original.
Back to the original, okay.
So the comprehensive plan would be amended to take Huntingtown back to where the zoning is today, just on the west side of Maryland 2-4.
You got it.
So it's no change to the zoning, but it's a change to the comprehensive plan.
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Moving on to Prince Frederick. The close-up on the left is from the county comprehensive plan, and it shows all of the Prince Frederick Town Center as if Phase 2 had already happened. The map on the right shows the expansion that was presented at the Commissioner's public hearing in 2019, both Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1 includes the area currently in the town center, the dark purple within the dashed line, and then also the dark purple parcels that are outside the dashed line. That would incorporate Employment Center that is on the northeast of the town center, which is the Medical Arts Building. It would include the Employment Center and the residential districts on the west side of town, immediately adjacent to the current town center boundary. Phase 2 is the light purple area to the west, and also there's a small portion between Maryland 2-4 and 765 on the south side of Prince Frederick, and that would include residential district, employment district, and rural community district. What's the commissioner's pleasure?
From what I understand, Jenny, the vast majority of Phase 2 is residential, correct?
I have data on that.
Okay.
And some of it is residential, some of it, the college is over 70 acres, Barstow Elementary's over 21 acres, highway maintenance is about 25 acres, the old landfill is 53 acres. So of all the institutional owned, whether it's by the county or the community college or even Washington Gas and Electric or one of the churches, there's 196.5 acres of land that's not residential. There's also the current subdivisions of the Knolls, Yardley Hill, and are over 100 acres, and then there's Mason Road lots that are developed.
I forgot who I was talking to. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can.
Oh yeah, you can't hang with her.
I can normally
I know
hang
you
on
researching
these.
stats. Jenny's a machine.
Is there, from when I was looking through some of the stuff, and I've seen so many different pictures, is there an area that is currently in Phase 2, somewhere up by Stokely, that is currently in employment or some type of something up there?
No.
That's kind of like joint lots are split or something like that?
There is parcels on the south side of Stokely, immediately west of the current town center boundary. One of those is actually a split parcel. Part of it is in the town center, just a tiny sliver. But they are adjacent to the Loop Road. They are zoned, I believe, rural community. They are not employment district.
Okay.
But they are adjacent to the Prince Frederick.
Right, but the
Loop
one
Road.
next to it is zoned as, the one that's in the town center currently, that's a split lot or something like that.
Yes.
Because I remember looking at something and it just, where a line was drawn, it looked kind of odd.
May I come to the map?
Absolutely.
I don't think the pointer's working.
Right, now the people at home aren't going to be able to see this, I don't think, but,
Unless they change the camera. So there's a tiny sliver here of a large parcel, but a very, about, it's like, I think less than 3 acres, maybe an acre and
where,
a half.
now you're on camera.
Now I'm on camera. So there's two parcels, this area south of Stokely Road that's adjacent to the Loop Road. There's a portion of that is split zone, part of it is in the town center, and the other part, I believe, is zoned rural community.
All right, so if we were to eliminate Phase 2 off the map, just eliminate the development of Phase 2 expansion, is there anywhere up in that that's already really close into that area up there by Stokely and Prince Frederick Boulevard that you would want to keep in?
Yes, because they're adjacent to the Loop Road, it makes sense that those two parcels be incorporated into the town center,
What's
if
the
you
acreage of
desire.
those parcels?
Do we have that?
Uh-oh, I got Jenny thinking.
I have that back at the desk.
Wrong desk.
Wrong desk.
I feel good now. That's okay.
No, I want to, give me a moment.
She hates this. I'm sorry I asked the question. I'll rescind my question.
Okay.
I don't have to know that today.
No, I'm sorry, I do not have that
Okay,
with me.
that's fine. Good answer.
I would like to actually eliminate, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I misspoke on that one parcel. It was, the yellow line is the town center.
Right.
So currently, part of this, it would have been in phase, we identified it for phase 1 to
get
come
it in.
in, and then the rest of it to come into phase 2.
Two.
It is currently not split zoned, but it would have been split zoned with the phase 1 and phase 2, so I
Right.
stand corrected on that.
Okay, and I think that's where I was trying to go with that,
Yeah.
because I remember there was an anomaly up there in that corner somewhere. And if we want to eliminate that picture on the left, that big, huge area of Prince Frederick altogether, and eliminate Phase 2 of the expansion, I would like to keep and move a portion of that Phase 2 expansion into Phase 1 in order to make everything flow properly around the corner of Stokely and.
For those properties that are
Prince
adjacent
Frederick.
to the loop road.
Correct. And that would, from everything I'm understanding, if we were to eliminate that Phase 2 portion of the expansion, I really think that, from what some people say, it may in fact allow the Prince Frederick sewer system to last for a substantially lot longer time based on less dense development in the Prince Frederick sewer system.
Well, if you
Depending on
don't
the
build
zoning.
4,000 apartments, you don't need it, period.
Right.
And that's what I've been screaming to the hilt, this obsession with apartments, so, yeah, I'm all in favor of that,
So Jenny, do you know approximately where that property line might run if you added in those two pieces? Approximately, yeah.
I believe.
Within 10 feet.
Can I draw with a large marker?
a Sharpie.
Approximately in here.
Oh, really?
I thought it was up at the top, Jet.
Just the one track.
There's two tracks here that are, or two parcels there that's approximately the southern boundary.
I thought it was near
I was
Stokely.
under the impression it was this right here.
Me too.
No.
No.
That's one track. Was where he had his finger just now, is that one track or not sure?
You can specifically, without a parcel map
Yeah.
handy.
Yeah.
I believe if the parcel boundary comes north-south to here, and then there's an east-west. So
Oh.
there's one parcel
Right.
here. In fact, this parcel is split zoned. This portion of the parcel is inside the town center, and this bottom two-thirds is outside the town center, and this one is totally outside the town center.
So if you put the one in, it sort of landlocks the other one, so you gotta do both.
I don't know that it landlocks it
I'm-
because it has access.
Wrong
to
term.
Stokely.
I'm not, wrong term. But, I mean, it would be surrounded by town center, but it wouldn't be in the town center, is what I was trying to
No,
say.
it would,
What?
it would, if you included the two-thirds of the parcel that's on the east side, this would still remain what it is now, which is rural commercial,
Rural community. Community district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which is what is the subdivision next door.
If I may make a suggestion.
Sure.
I think we caught him off guard with this, and if we had, I know I personally want to see the majority of Phase 2 just go away. But I want them to have an opportunity to present back to us, and I think what we're looking at here is giving them instructions saying, hey, this is kind of a guideline of what we're looking for, so at that point, when you come back, you'll be able to sit there and say, this is the parcel, this is proposed, I think this is what you were talking about, are we good to go with this?
Today is just direction.
Right, and so, there's something in that upper right corner out of the Phase 2 that I'd like to have the flexibility to keep in, or to move to Phase 1 and eliminate Phase 2.
Okay, so we will bring back to you eliminating Phase 2 with the exception of those two parcels, and we'll have more information on those two parcels to bring back to you to discuss.
And that would be to include those parcels, that portion in the Phase
Proposed
1.
Phase 1.
All right, so I
And
know
there'd
how-
only be one expansion of Prince Frederick, not a phasing.
Right.
Knowing how government works, the next step is to take a work session to the planning commission.
We can come back to the commissioners with the Prince Frederick detail and any other thing
And still
that.
move forward with them at the same time. You know where I'm trying to go here.
Time.
'Cause we'll lose a month
Timing,
quick.
yeah. The next planning commission
And
is.
since we're just giving you general direction and the
Next
planning
week.
commission gets a shot,
We would not be able to meet with the planning commission until July, the third Wednesday of July. We might be able to come back to you.
We should be able to come back on the 28th of June
I
to
just
you.
don't want to hold the process up.
Yeah.
A month, because you know what the general Commissioner Gadway's thought process is.
Yes.
I think there's
So
some
we
things
can't
first.
make the June planning commission,
Right.
It's next week.
Right.
And so we can come back to you on
So
the
if you can come
28th.
back to us before, that's
Yes.
fine. If you can't, then we'll just move together or something.
Okay.
We could
Well,
show
we
it
do
as
wanna get it right,
options,
Right.
as options, a smaller portion.
Right.
And
But-
a little
but-
bit,
but because it's a work session, we can make adjustments as we both move forward, because we're not taking anything to the public yet. But as I say, my experience has been that it doesn't take long where you lose a month quickly.
And that other phase two, was there any reason that the lower right-hand corner along the side of 760, I guess it's
231?
actually off the side of 24
Irene
off of
Hance's, it
Main
looks
Street.
like. It's next to Irene Hance's, or it is Irene
Yeah.
Hance's.
So the Hans farmhouse would be proposed in Phase 1, and Phase 2 is the sliver of land that includes maybe 3 or 4 parcels that are in between Maryland 24 and Maryland
But
765.
I don't think there's anything there, is there?
There's a few houses.
Okay.
But the Hans farm is included in, it was like 7 acres they reserved, did not sell to Maryland DNR, and that's in that Phase 2 proposal, Phase 1 proposal.
But that is listed under the phase two, and that would go away on the phase two.
Well, Phase 2 is just that tiny
That strip of
sliver.
land between the old
Yeah.
road and the new road,
Yeah.
where there's like
Right.
3 or 4 houses
Yes.
currently.
Yeah,
That would go away,
correct.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're all nodding heads? I know where I was 3 years ago. By myself.
All right, moving on to St. Leonard. St. Leonard on the left is the adopted comprehensive plan map, and the one on the right is from the 2019 public hearing. The difference with St. Leonard is that that school that's proposed in the expansion area is also proposed in the St. Leonard master plan that was adopted by the Board of County Commissioners in 2013. There's also a slight adjustment on the north side. The town center boundary still does follow a tree line. And trees change over time. And so the proposal here would be to follow either parcel boundaries or approved site plan boundaries.
And remind me again, the yellow blank area down there near the bottom, that's,
Those are residences that are not included in the Board of Education's parcel. The Board of Education's parcel wraps around a few houses. I think it's Colette's Way. So that whole expansion area is owned by Board of Ed.
she says the Board of Ed owns a little piece that wraps around that subdivision.
Yes.
What's the name of
So
that little
everything
subdivision?
in the purple black line is current Board of Ed property?
Correct.
Okay. And
I think it's
there's,
St. Colette's Way.
the what?
The road that those houses are in, that yellow wraparound area, is called St. Colette's Way.
So I recused myself in 2013 from the St. Leonard Town Center Master Plan process. The only thing I will inject, I believe, County Administrator, sir, the proposed water tower, is that in the vicinity of St. Colette's and just south of the elementary school?
Yes, sir, it is. Mark Willis, County Administrator. It sits just to the south side, on the east side and south of the elementary school. That was a piece of property that was actually brought to the Board of County Commissioners from the Board of Education. We did a map to a change to the regulations that allowed the county government to treat it as a quasi-government parcel, which just helped in the processing of that particular development right, so that we could create what is in essence a redundancy in water supply for the town of St. Leonard.
Thank you, sir.
So why wouldn't you just put that subdivision in?
We didn't ask those people if they wanted to be in the town center.
Got you. Excellent. I'm glad to know we asked.
Well, we didn't ask. So we didn't propose, it was the proposal to, in fact, when St. Leonard was built prior to when it was finished in 1996. When it was being proposed to be constructed, the state did point out to us that it was outside the priority funding area, and staff's reply was it's immediately adjacent to the St. Leonard priority funding area, and so were able to proceed with that construction of that elementary school.
So the purpose of putting this Board of Ed's property into town center,
Is to follow the adopted St. Leonard master plan that went through the whole public process and gained support of the community and at least some of the commissioners during the vote on the St. Leonard master plan update in 2013.
thank you.
So is this one okay?
I got no issues.
Yep, we're good.
No changes to St. Leonard. Thank you.
Moving on to,
The mayor
this
can't
map
say anything.
includes Lusby and Solomons, two town centers on one map. Map on the left is the future land use plan, and the map on the right is the map that was presented at the board's public hearing in 2019. I would like to point out that the maps, both of them show the purple hatched area, and the legend notes that this is future town center expansion area to be determined. The comprehensive plan states during the process to update the Lusby Town Center Master Plan and the Solomons Town Center Master plan, public input will be sought regarding whether and how the Lusby and Solomons Town Center boundaries could be expanded. Lusby to the south and Solomons to the north. The plan states Lusby should be expanded no further south than the existing southern boundary of the currently established employment center zone. The plan further states there should be a distinct boundary between Solomons and Lusby. I will note on the north side of Lusby, the northeast side of Maryland 2-4, that is zoned light industrial. That is the business park. So the Lusby expansion includes that section to the north.
So let me start with this, because, I know this gets, I don't want the term Slusby, we've talked about that.
Slusby.
Right, that word never exists.
So lesbians?
Right. So I want Solomons to be Solomons, Dow to be Dow, and Lusby to be Lusby. There's a lot of history, a lot of heritage, a lot of pride in those three places, and I don't want that disturbed. So, so I want to...
You bring up a good point in that the proposed expansion of Solomons includes going to the east side of Dow Peninsula, which is shown in the regular hatch versus crossed hatch. So that would be under your consideration whether or not to expand the town center to include the entire peninsula of Dow.
No, I want Dow to be Dow.
When you come back for the Prince Frederick, can you bring a detailed or interactive GIS map? Can we have that up to where we can look and see? Because I understand when I was looking through stuff, there were some overlapping employment centers. There was schools, there wasn't schools, there's open land, there's houses. And I'd like to be able to look at it, zooming in, eliminate any discussion about Drum Point off of it, and Dow Road and all that, correct?
Well, that Dow and Drum Point,
Okay.
yeah.
The Drum Point's not part of it.
Gotcha. And then take a look at where it's at. So there actually is, to where there are two towns.
Three.
Well, three, yeah.
Because even though I know the federal government came in and took the thing away, there's still a lot of pride down Dow Road, and I know what they did with the post office and all that, but in my mind, and going back to, and I'm just going to call it from the history of being a child, that road, there's a lot of family history on that road, and to me, it's very important to protect that history, and that's why I'm very adamant I would like to see, and really, as a child, it was pointed out to me, Solomons didn't start till you went over top that technical bridge, really, but Solomons being Solomons, Dow, and Lusby, and you guys know I am extremely adamant against any apartments. Somebody tried to put one down Dow Road since I've been on this board. I said no then. If I'm on this board a day or 100 years, I will say no then. I don't want to destroy that area. So.
I want to correct myself. I said Drum Point. I meant the area down by Dow.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that the western portion of Dow and the bottom of the peninsula, which includes the old amphibious training base, are currently in the Solomons Town Center. It's the portion that's north of the amphibious training base, the gate, or where the pillars are that signified that base. On the east side, along Dow Road up to Amory, portion of Amory Garden is in the town center, and the portion that the actual like the parking area is in town center, and the garden itself is not in town center.
Is there any
That's
reason
current.
it has to be expanded?
Um,
I mean,
Did we ask the people? What did they say? We asked the
We
people. in
had,
St.
we
Leonard's.
had, I know in St. Leonard, we had 10 public meetings. I don't recall the exact number for Solomons and Lusby. We did the initial 3 meetings, and then that got put on hold. So there was no public comment that I recall during the Solomons Town Center Master Plan update about removing that portion of that Dow is in to take it out.
I get a lot of public comment at 11728 Rousby Hall Road. I get a lot of public comment, and yeah.
But the expansion, to answer your question, was to incorporate more of the EC zoned property. There's quite a bit outside of Lusby Town Center.
Right, and it might be important to look and see what's already there,
Yes.
because it could already be done.
And that's why I'd like to see it there. When we come back on the Prince Frederick, because we already know we got to circle back on that.
Yes.
I
We
hate
can
the
bring this
term
back
circling
with the
back, I'm
existing
sorry.
zoning.
And it makes sense to
yeah.
put the business park in.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The business park makes sense,
So,
right.
you know, being able to see an overlay off that on a little bit more defined map would really help me a lot.
Okay.
Like Commissioner Hart said, I don't want to see Slusby, because, you know, what always comes to mind for me is California Lexington Park.
Yeah.
I challenge any of you, tell me where California ends and Lexington Park starts.
Correct.
Because I think I know, but,
I remember as
and
a
I
kid.
don't want to see that happen to Solomons and Lusby, where there's no defined towns. You know, I voted against changing the town designations, because I think it is important to have small towns and medium-sized towns and large towns, but that's water under the bridge too. So I don't want to see, you know, once you hit Cove Point Road, you see nothing but buildings and houses from there to the bridge. That's
Right.
just me.
No,
but,
no, you're not alone there.
Where
I
does
mean,
Mutual begin and Port Republic end?
And-
Mutual is a subset, and it is suffocated by Port Republic.
Okay.
Suffocated.
And believe it or not, I have 2 deeds because I live right near the line. One says St. Leonard, one says Port Republic.
Mutual is a small
and I,
area.
I think it's important,
I
the,
can walk it with you.
the past couple weekends has had a lot of things with history, like, Christ Church is 350. I don't want to lose the history of Calvert, and that's what these things do, and the next generations come, they don't know. And I think it's important to keep that, so there's nothing wrong with having a small town, in my piece anyways, as Commissioner Williams said, my 20%. So I don't want to, if it ain't broke, let's not fix it sometimes. So I don't want to,
So let's take a look at Dow Road and see what's there. Maybe it's already too late, to be honest. And,
We'll bring
Is that-
back an existing zoning map for this whole area.
Because I'm even looking at the west side of Route 424. The area that looks like it's already in town center, is that the base? The
no,
The
that's,
Navy facility?
That's Asbury, that looks like,
Right.
Please, please, madam.
where the gardeners all live. Gardeners all live.
should be,
So this area is the Navy Rec Center. So it is included in the town center. It is owned by the federal government. They do not have to comply with county or state regulations. So while they're in the town center, we don't regulate
Where's
Navy
Asbury?
Rec. Here,
Okay.
Where is Asbury?
sorry. Asbury is on the northern portion,
Yeah.
and then Navy Rec is
Yeah.
south.
So right now, where the gardeners all live in Asbury, that's already in the town center. What
Right.
that is that vacant land on the west side that,
and I don't know why we would.
I think that needs to go away. There's nothing there. There's a
Yeah,
lot there. It's
yeah.
already wet.
Right.
'cause there's no, that's Route 4, Jenny, right, that white line that runs down through there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maryland 2-4 to the bridge, and then it's Solomon's Island Road, which the state no longer owns, the county owns.
And I tell you, the last thing we ever need is business on that other side of the road.
Right.
We're at the bridge where it was at 31,000 cars, is that the number?
Yeah.
A day?
31,000.
So you talk about choke points and stuff. I mean, so that's the last thing we need to do is develop across that road.
You have some direction?
We do. Yes, the final slide just asks for direction, so I believe we've got it. I believe we've received it, and so we will be back with more detailed mapping for both Prince Frederick
Thank
and
you.
Solomons and Lesby.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In a closing comment,
Uh-oh.
about this. When I sat down in this chair for the first time, I asked to have a card printed off. And just item number 3 of the Calvert County Government Mission Statement reads, preserve Calvert County's environment, heritage, and rural character. Thank you.
You had to get that printed off on a card?
It's so I could sit there and have it in
Tell you're
front
not a
every single
native.
time. See, show the camera.
I wear that
Which-
thing right here
okay.
every day, brother, right here.
There you go.
Every day.
I have to be reminded as the new guy, and I have it sitting here so I can make sure I help make the right decisions.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to public comment. Mr. County Attorney?
Thank you, sir. The board has adopted a resolution in 1989 intending to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. Copy is found here to my right. The Ethics Commission's asked us to remind speakers of public comment that lobbyists include those who seek to influence public policy and must register in advance. So the floor has been open to public comment from persons in the meeting room. You'll be asked to identify yourself and whether speaking as an individual or the designated representative of a group. As an individual, you'll be allocated 2 minutes. As the designated representative of a group, you'll be allocated 5.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Aye.
I'm Margaret Dunkel. I chair the Harry Elizabeth Brown Commemoration Task Force. And first, I want to thank you as members of our county commission for all of the work you do for the citizens and the community of Calvert County, how much that is appreciated. And I also want to express a special thanks to the Department of Finance and Revenue for all of the hard work that they do to put together the budget with all of the intricacies every year and increasingly more zeros every year. While they do the work, of course, it's you as county commissioners who make the decisions, who decide what's in and what's out, what gets funded and what doesn't. And I really want to thank you for your past support of the Harry Elizabeth Brown Community Center and Park. It was a disappointment not to see the funding carried forward from last year and additional funding for the Harry Elizabeth Brown Community Center and Park this year. We've had a number of conversations with you as individuals, and we really appreciate your concern and your focus on this and your understanding of how important this community center and park are to bringing some life back to Prince Frederick and making it a viable town center, and to doing something that will be so important to citizens countywide. Now, I said it at the budget hearing last month, that if Miss Brown were around right now, she was an educator, and unfortunately, you guys would have painfully gotten an F. And she's thought about it, and she's not given up hope on you, and neither have I. And so, I'd like to give you an incomplete. As we continue to work together to make the Harry Elizabeth Brown Community Center and Park what it needs to be, what we all want it to be, and what the citizens of Calvert County deserve. We look forward to working in partnership with you to make this a reality. And as my friend and colleague Pat Nutter says, we all need to work together to make sure the Harry Elizabeth Brown Community Center and Park is shovel-ready before we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Big surprise. I learned this little trick a long time ago. Everybody saw that, right? Okay, so I'm Bob Estes. I'm here representing Friends of Hunting Creek so that I could talk a little slower than I usually do. And I am a founding member, by the way. And I'm really, really happy that the budget season is over, and I learned a great deal, and I thank you all and the staff and all that made that possible for common people who pay the bills to understand. I'm still worried about Stokely Road properties that we were showing. I know those properties, there's very little on that is not steep, sandy, and very erodible, which brings me to another point. There is a huge gap between what's written, what should be done, and what is done. No surprise there. But with regard to these developments that could possibly be back there, that's going to be under MDE's purview. Now, by now you know how ineffective they have been in enforcing the regulations. And I'm still fighting the Calvert Hills thing, and they're still not owning up to all that they should have done and should be doing there. And I can pretty much guarantee you that that is exactly what will happen in any expansion out into those fragile areas, no matter where they are. I only know Prince Frederick. I'm sure they're everywhere. So I don't know if there's a way to close that gap, get DPW a little more involved in really policing MDE, because they're not doing their job, and when they don't do their job for years on end, you end up with the sorts of issues that we've seen. Let's see what else. So I'm also in favor, obviously, of rejecting most of Phase 2. Now, I understand that there's lots of little bits and pieces that maybe for efficiency you could include in Phase 1. I understand that. That's a practical thing. But for the most part, I don't see any need to build apartments to house people that don't live here now. Just to attract more people. More people do not pay the bills that they incur. We know that. Without medium and small businesses growing, that slice of the golden cow of the nuclear plant and the LNG plant, that gets smaller with each new development unit you put in, or dwelling unit you put in. I think you know that. So I'm glad to hear about this discussion about Phase 2. I don't think it has any place being on both sides of, it's a shame we didn't know this, 50 years ago or whenever they started developing the other side, but if we're ever going to catch up, we can't go with that Phase 2. And lastly, while I do appreciate what you did in balancing the budget, beware of kicking needs down to 2024, 25, just to balance the budget. Because there are needs out there. You know you had to reject some things, and you know that those are things that need to be done. So just keep that in mind. I'm glad you did what you did, but those costs are waiting for you. Sometime or another, you're going to have to face something. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. President, there's no one on virtual, so.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Next, we have Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. There were several Memorial Day ceremonies that we all attended. I want to say thank you. So many people to include. I mean, just thank you to everyone involved that made those happen. And they were in multiple locations across the county. So I just want to say thank you. It's so important that we continue to always respect that day and everything with it. I went to County Administrator Doug Perrin's celebration of life. I want to give you a little background. Douglas A. Perrin joined Calvert County government in 1995 as the General Services Director. In 2005, Mr. Perrin was selected as the interim county administrator
After serving 2 years as interim administrator, Mr. Perrin was appointed to county administrator in 2007 until his retirement in 2010. He provided 15 years of service to the citizens of the county, and it was nice to see it was very well attended. A lot of folks hadn't seen in a while, a lot of history through there, other commissioners and things of that nature. Was busy. Was at a joint Eagle badge ceremony, and for Garrett and Sarah Hurley. It was a great turnout. A lot of us were there at that as well. The family, every time you go to one, is just remarkable young people there. And excuse me. Grace Church, I mentioned earlier, had their nice 350-year anniversary. It's just been a lot of history the last couple of weeks. I tell you, if you weren't reflective the last couple of weeks in this county, that was really cool to see some of the stuff there, and how well preserved they've kept a lot of that history alive. That was fun. And the ACLT had their Tails, Trails, and Tales. That was really neat. Hey, had dog exhibitions going, and a puppy that I wanted to try to take home, but we have 3 already, so I couldn't get a consensus vote there. But that was really nice. And I went to the First Responders Appreciation Dinner. It's just amazing every year how much volunteers and just the people of this county, what they do for us, and I just want to say thank you for that. And then, sorry folks, I went to Patuxent's graduation and their awards ceremony, and I love my folks. You know we're there. It was just the community just outpouring, just so much support there, and just amazing young people. And somebody said, I think it was Commissioner Hans at the Eagle Scout, somebody said, I've heard before, we're in such good shape with some of these young folks. I mean, they're really remarkable young people. And I just want to say congratulations to all of them. And I don't believe I left anything out, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Gadway.
All right, sir, appreciate it. It's been 2 weeks since we met last.
Right.
And 2 weeks ago tonight, Buddy Hance, Commissioner President, and I had the pleasure of joining him at a Hughesville Girl Scout camp. Winona, thank you. And that Girl Scout camp has been there quite a while, and we had the pleasure to celebrate, I believe, 30-plus silver Girl Scout silvers, 4 Girl Scout golds, and 1 silver trefoil, I believe is how it's pronounced. And ironically, one of the girls that got the silver, I believe, was one of the young ladies that over the course of the last couple weeks got her Eagle Scout. I believe it was one of the same. That was very interesting. Appreciate the invite over there. They got a really nice facility. Memorial Day. Enough said. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for all the invitations and the places and all the work that went into that to honor those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. Please keep their families and their kin in mind. Again, the ACLT, great time there. There was a lot of pups around there, some great vendors, a lot of good people. When you get an opportunity to go to an event like that, you learn about different parts of different aspects, and I wouldn't have expected to learn the things that I did there in reference to some of the things about the environment, but I did. So 350 years of continuous service to Christ Church. Really, really neat event. Again, some great vendors, some great food. There was a barbecue there that was second to none. I see him smiling in the back. All 4 of the high school graduations and senior awards, I was able to go to Northern and Patuxent senior awards. And to give credit to Patuxent, I got to say, after sitting through all 4 of the graduation ceremonies, Patuxent may be the smallest, but it is by far the loudest. Okay. there's-
That 8 years ago, I had a commissioner whisper to me, he goes, wait till your town comes up. Had said these before, and yeah, you just know we're there.
Yeah. The Hurley's graduation, or I'm sorry, the Hurley's Eagle ceremony. I'm sure Buddy's going to touch on that. A couple of little PSAs, or big, important, whatever you want to look at. June is Men's Health Month. I know that it was mentioned earlier today. The Men's Health Expo is at Calvert on June 14th. My wife made me promise to read that, so I'm sure she's going to be double checking it, so that's on camera. She said it's important that us guys that refuse to go to the doctor and worry about everybody else going, we need to take care of ourselves too. June is Adopt a Cat Month between Linda Kelly and the Friends of Felines. They have over 60 cats that are up for adoption. I know that there is 7 in my house, so those will be available. That's part of those 60. So that's 7 that are up for adoption in my house, not 7 total. There's actually more than that. On a serious note, though, I want to throw something out for food for thought. As I drove in this morning, I looked over at Wawa, and gas is $4.99 a gallon.
$4.99.9.
Oh, you're right. $4.99.9999
$5
per gallon. Okay. Actually, and that was this morning. It's now noon o'clock. It's probably over $5 at the rate it's been going up. It's gone up. It's more than doubled in price in 24 months. Part of that is due to, part of that cost is the state taxes, the state fuel tax. July 1st, guess what? State taxes go up again, and it's tied straight to the consumer price index. So we are looking at an additional increase, no matter what the market does, an additional increase on July 1st. Some of the state delegates and the governor and some of the state senators have asked for an emergency special session of the Maryland state in order to put a holiday back in place on the Maryland state gas tax. There is currently $7 billion with a B surplus at state. If we were to eliminate, if we could get the state senate and the state house president to call for an emergency session, they could come in, they could immediately save 40 cents on the dollar, and if not even a little more after July 1st, if they were able to push back and eliminate the taxes for a period of time like they did a few months ago. The people in this state need it. The governor's asking for it. Many of the people in the Senate and the House are asking for it. I'm asking for it. Please help. Thank you.
Commissioner Weems.
I do not have anything.
Really?
Well, I do want to.
I always have to say that because you always say, I don't know, and then you say, oh, well, maybe.
I will sincerely want to extend congratulations to all the graduates of the 4 high schools this past week. That's all I have.
All right. Excellent. So I, too, want to extend my congratulations to all the graduates from last week who now are going to enter real life. Or, well, some of them are going to go to college, so they won't enter real life yet. But some of them are going to have to go to work. And they'll find out that they have to be there before 7:30 in the morning. And they have to stay there until 5 o'clock, and they don't get every holiday off like they've been doing. But it's a great life experience. As Commissioner Gadway says, we haven't met for 2 weeks, so I have a list. Just want to say that last Tuesday we left here, went to North Beach to cut the ribbon on the new library in the beach, and I was up there Friday night. There are bulldozers and excavators all there, so I want to thank Scheibel for getting right on that, and maybe we'll have a ribbon cutting for, well, no, we won't have it before December. Sorry. But it was a great day, and then we moved down to the garden. If any of you have not seen the garden there on the boardwalk, it's a wonderful little garden, and they renamed that in honor of Mayor Mark Frazier, who was also a county commissioner and spent a good portion of his life serving the citizens of Calvert County. And that was a great tribute for him. We also was mentioned, we had several Memorial Day ceremonies, and I have to recognize that Commissioner Weems and I sat out in the middle chairs in the middle of the sun when it was 95 degrees while,
There was three of us
oh,
sitting
I'm
there,
sorry,
sir.
Commissioner Gadway and our wimp, Commissioner Hart, was back under the shade tree, but, you know, whatever.
You pay me to think
short
outside
guy.
of the box sometimes, guys.
And we just had D-Day, you know, and a recognition. So it is significant that we celebrate Memorial Day and D-Day so close together because make us remember the sacrifices that were given for all of us. As Commissioner Gadway said, I too went to that Girl Scout ceremony last Tuesday night. It was over 100 people there. It was the first ceremony they had done since COVID, so that's why it was such a large event. And then on Sunday, I went up to the beach with my fellow commissioners for the double eagle ceremony for sister and brother, Sarah and, help me, Sarah. Yes, thank you, Garrett Hurley. So Garrett is a freshman at Towson University, and I don't know when he exactly got his eagle, but this was when the ceremony was. But his sister Sarah is a sophomore at Northern High School, and she has already achieved eagle. Now, for those of you that don't, follow Eagle Scouts or whatever, that is quite an achievement because some of these kids struggle to get it done by 18, and some wimp out and never quite make it to Eagle, even though they get this close. I never even got that close, so he did much better than I did. But that day, Sarah, they both give speeches at the end to talk about their journey. Sarah spoke as well as any person I've ever heard in my life at 16 years old.
Incredible.
She's going to go places, and not in one of these chairs. She's a wonderful young lady. Not that he wasn't, but she is quite the speaker. And to hear that brother and sister talk about their parents and each other the way they did was amazing.
You don't see that often. You're absolutely right.
When you achieve Eagle, you give out a mentoring award, somebody that has helped you throughout your life and your time making Eagle. Sarah gave it to her brother. Her brother gave it to his father. That's the first time I'd ever seen that. Those two young people, and that wasn't the first brother and sister. We had another brother and sister 2 weeks before that I couldn't attend because Mike and I were down here doing a double Eagle at St. John's Vianney. But I tell everybody, if you have young children, you need to get them into scouting because it is such a wonderful organization. And history shows that Eagle Scouts, male or female, become great, successful citizens of this country. And when I first got elected, we get invited to all the Eagle ceremonies, and I kind of said, you had a lot of things to do. Commissioner Nutter called me, he said, hey, you going to the Eagle ceremony? I said, I don't know. He said, oh, you come on. So since I've attended every one that I could since I got elected because I got hooked. Because as Colonel McDowell says every time he speaks at one of those, it gives us faith in the future when we see these young children and what they've done and know what they're going to do. It gives us hope because you see so much and hear so much about the bad going on. These children at a young age have made significant decisions that have set them on a course for their life. And I tell everybody, if you have children, you need to get them into scouting. And it's a job. I hear the stories from the parents, Linda, that get their children through Eagle. It is not easy. And without good parents, so it says a lot about the parents. And I always thank the scoutmasters and the scout leaders because without those volunteers, none of this would happen. None of it. So I try never to miss those events because they are so rewarding. And I also attended Christ Church 350th anniversary. We had them in here and gave them a proclamation about a month ago, and I said that day, 350 years ago, the only way the state would allow them to build that church was they had to give the state so many pounds of tobacco. That just tells you how important tobacco was to the state of Maryland over time. I believe that's all I have on my list. Oh, and Bernie Fowler, they're going to have his celebration of life this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock at Calvert High School. And then on Sunday will be the wade-in that he started. And so we'd encourage anybody that knew Senator Valor or recognizes all the accomplishments that he had, if you have a little time on Saturday or Sunday, please join in those festivities. I've talked enough for me and Commissioner Weems. So,
That's why he had nothing.
yeah, that's why I had nothing. He saw my list. So, but we are busy people, and when we take a break for a week, it does add up. But there's a lot of significant happenings in Calvert County, so we do our best to get out to all that we can when we're invited, and sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But I had some barbecue Saturday too. I don't know if it was the best I ever had. But.
I didn't say it was the best. It was really good. And I did have it again on Sunday also.
And I can give a shout out. I'm talking about kids and Boy Scouts. Todd Ireland, who's in the audience today, his two sons, TJ and Colby, Saturday night got invited to a hospice event because they are the number 3 largest contributors to hospice in Calvert County.
Wow.
TJ is 19 and Colby is 16? 17. Third largest donators to hospice in Calvert County.
That's awesome.
Think about that for a minute. And they didn't even join Scouts. They got a great mother. I swear that's all I have. Commissioner Weems, do you have a motion?
Before I make this motion, I would be remiss to say that they also have a great grandmother as well, Miss Sissy. So, with that, I'd like to make a motion. Just
You
want a
know you
hug.
can never get him. I've tried for 40 years. I can't get him.
He just wants a hug.
Motion to recess to executive session pursuant to 3-305B1I to discuss personnel matters and 3-305B3 to discuss possible acquisition of property for a public purpose.
Second.
I have motion and a second that we move to executive session. Here, any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You all have a great day.